I don't know. Let me just add this to the cart.
And thanks to the one-day delivery, literally the next day, I opened up my door to the package.
Okay, there we go. I guess this should be the Black Widow. And I genuinely think this is the most venomous pet I've kept on the channel. But anyways, let's go open this up.
So I brought it to my table and opened the package up. After carefully taking out the packing material, I then took out the container that had a Black Widow spider inside.
Oh, nah, here it is. A literal Black Widow. But I did just figure something out because apparently I didn't order just one of these. If you look down in this box, I actually ordered 2 more. Yeah, apparently I accidentally placed the order for a 3-pack, so now I have 3 Black Widows.
But I wanted to take a closer look, so I opened up a container to let a spider out. And I guess it was a bit dizzy because instantly it fell on its back to reveal that iconic red hourglass shape, which warns you that this spider is nothing to mess around with. It has a potent bite.
Oh, shoot, it's trying to escape. Put it in the container, okay. Whoa. I gotta be more careful with these things, man.
But these 3 spiders aren't gonna spin webs in these tiny containers. They were gonna need a proper enclosure, which I needed to build by first covering a bunch of spray foam with dirt and wood chip stuff to make the background. But in the middle, I put in this rock background and spray foamed normal rocks to it. You see, I'm gonna separate the enclosure into a forest, a cave, and a home interior to see where Black Widows like to make webs and hunt the most. For the home interior part, I got a piece of styrofoam and painted a brick pattern onto it to, you know, make it look like a brick wall like a lot of homes have, and so I spray foamed that in, and the background was now complete.
And now we gotta do the web building bases. Basically what that means is we just put sticks and stuff so the spiders can spin their webs in here.
To start, I'm gonna lay down a simple substrate across the entire enclosure that I'll be able to customize to each environment. But first of all, the forest, and as I'm sure you can imagine, we're gonna put some wood in here, just enough on the 2 sides for a solid web to be made in between. And then I'm even gonna glue some moss coming down from the ends of the branches so it sort of looks like leaves on a tree.
And then I'm gonna get this bag of leaves that I bought. And don't ask me why I didn't just pick them up from outside. I don't know why I bought these.
But anyways, with those, I scattered them along the bottom, so it looked like a forest floor with all the fallen leaves everywhere. And last but not least, I got some tiny rocks and scattered them around too. Just a few, because I gotta save most for the cave. And speaking of the cave, we're gonna start right away by laying down some rocks, because that's pretty much all they got. But as you can see in this photo, there's actually a bunch of these pointy rocks called stalagmites. And I think they would work perfectly in my enclosure, so let me get some.
Alright, so I've got a big rock and a hammer right there, so I guess let me just try to carve some of those stalagmites out of this. So I guess I'll just go and try and hit it. I don't really know if this is gonna work, but it's gonna break. Hello?
Eventually, after a bit of hitting, I got a few pieces that when connected sorta looked like stalagmites, so I went and attached them together with spray foam. And then using more spray foam, I stuck them all into place pointing up in the cave section of the enclosure. Finally, I went and sprinkled some normal colored rocks around and then some different colored rocks around because, yeah, we literally just put rocks everywhere for this section.
Alright, once this spray foam dries, I'm gonna go in and paint it, but for now, let's work on the home interior section. And to start, I've got this carpet-like material, which I'm gonna cut out to shape, and then I'm just gonna go and put it in there, and boom.
Now I need to get some mini home furniture in here that the spider will be able to spin his webs from.
And my only idea for how I can get that is to build it with some Legos. So yeah, let's get building, baby.
First of all, using black bricks, I stacked them up to make this little lampshade thing. Then with some red bricks, I made a tiny little couch. Now a chair made of brown bricks. Finally, I just took the rest of my bricks to make a randomly color assorted red and white shelf. Yeah, I'm a master builder, as you can tell. Anyways, I went and put each of those inside and even got some little dollhouse furniture to fill in the dead space, and boom, shakalaka. That's what I call a home house interior. I know a lot of Black Widows love to live inside houses, so one of them should definitely like this place.
But the next step on the list is to get some plants.
Put the 2 land plants in the forest section, which as you can see, I ended up getting a beautiful red plant to match the red on Black Widows. Then I took apart the plant from Home Depot and glued the vines coming down from the top of the cave section. Finally, I glued some more moss all along the forest section because I felt like it wasn't green enough. And then I added a bit of this dead type of fern moss along parts of the cave because I felt like it matched pretty well.
Oh, and I almost forgot the most important part, the stupid AI generated pictures for the house interior.
So I cut them out and glued them along sides of the brick wall. There were many great works of art, like a Black Widow flying in the sky with wings, a Black Widow dancing in a disco room, and a Black Widow eating a male after mating, which yes, they actually do that in the wild. Now you see, in the wild, Black Widows are actually cannibals towards other female Black Widows, which means my 3 Black Widows cannot be able to access each other, or, you know, they'd probably eat each other.
So I've got these acrylic sheets, which should act as good separators.
So I went and measured them to size and then cut them out.
There we go, that fits perfectly. And now last but not least, I'm gonna put in one of these reptile foggers.
Basically, when you turn this dial, it spits a bunch of fog out the end of this tube. Black widows love a high humidity to make their web, so this should encourage them to do that quickly. And well, I would say this enclosure is now 100% complete, but that does mean I gotta actually let the black widows loose in here, which I'm kind of scared to do, but let's just do it.
And as you can see, I've got the 3 black widows in their own little containers. So I've got the first one. Let's let this guy loose into the forest. Then I'm gonna put the second one into the cave section like that. Then finally, the 3rd black widow in the home interior section.
And while all the spiders were now in their new home, I took an interest to the one in the forest area. You see, this one immediately started to crawl all around her new home and even made her way up to the roof of the enclosure. There on the roof, you can see she started to walk around with a little strand of silk coming out the end of the abdomen. She was already building a web. Spiders, of course, do this to catch prey, and black widows in specific have some of the strongest silk out of any spider, which is somehow produced in these little silk glands that they have. Anyways, I left the black widow to continue with that, and the next day I came back and opened up the top of the enclosure. You could see the area where she was constructing the web, and now she was hiding in this little crevice.
So much for building this enclosure. I built all this forest area just for the spider to make her web right in this little area. Well, at least she has something, because that means now I can try and feed her a bunch of different types of food.
I put in some crickets to see if it would eat, and literally right away, one of the crickets jumped towards the spider and jolted him awake, which I guess was a good sign because the spider was now finally moving. But when I tried to bring the cricket back, it scared the spider and it ran away into the cave. I almost lost track of the spider until I came across her again on top of the enclosure where she had somehow escaped to. I tried to feed her a cricket once again, but she just was not having it, so I scooped her back into the plastic container.
Well, it looks like this black widow is also not eating, which usually would mean I would go test the 3rd and final food source, which was gonna be just crickets, but a bit bigger. But I kind of have bad news because I don't really have a spider to feed these to.
Yes, you heard that right. Since putting the 3rd spider into the house interior section 2 days ago, I haven't seen it at all. It literally escaped my enclosure. And now, not only did I have one missing, but I also had 2 more that weren't eating. Now, I wanted to start small, and as you can see, these mealworms I bought are absolutely minuscule. They're barely the size of the tip of my finger, but hopefully the spider will still like them. Using some tweezers, I dropped a mealworm straight into the spider's web, and immediately it started to squirm around to try and escape. But spider webs are specifically designed to keep little insects like this stuck in them. All the wiggling around made the black widow come awake, and soon it even crawled out, only to walk right by the mealworm and run away. In fact, this black widow tried to make a grand escape and even webbed down the side of my table onto the floor.
Oh, no, do not go under the table, do not go under the table.
Anyways, I ended up scooping it into a container where I then dropped another mealworm in front of him, and once again, he didn't want to eat it.
Okay, based off the decorations.
Oh my gosh, is it a black widow?
Yeah, it's a black widow.
No, it's not.
Yeah, you see those paintings on the wall?
Yeah, I do.
A black widow? Isn't that cool?
No.
Why? Okay, I got them onto this little tray for you, and basically, you can see it right there. What do you
No,
think?
no.
Say hi.
No. I wouldn't keep that as a pet.
Why? It's cute. Well, I did say I have a job for you, so can you hold the camera?
Oh my gosh, you are not gonna put this on you.
Here, hold the camera. All right, as you see, we got the black widow in a nice little clear container, and I'm just gonna start by literally putting it on my sleeve like this until it crawls out.
You see, the plan is to have it crawl onto my sleeve, and then from there, it'll crawl onto my hand. So I basically just waited until it started to crawl out.
I have to be super calm right now.
But as you could have guessed, of course things went wrong, because as you can see, it just started to grasp onto the edge of the container and not let go at all. I was probably making it pretty mad, so I quickly transferred it to a piece of cardboard.
Okay, so I decided to just put them onto a piece of cardboard, and I'll let them crawl out here.
And after gathering together a bunch of courage, I just moved the cardboard in front of my hand to let it happen.
Okay, I'm gonna do it in 3, 2, 1.
Lord Father, Jesus, please. Oh God, Lord Father, please. Okay, it's time to go off. It's time to go off, Lord Father.
Oh,
Oh, that was so nerve-wracking. Oh my gosh, how did you feel doing that?
the heart was going 500 beats a second.
Many animals in nature have stingers to defend themselves, and some of those animals, like the cow killer, have venom so strong that their stings cause some of the most immense pain ever.
Oh my gosh, guys, this is super bad.
So I went out and got 5 levels of insect stings that get progressively more painful, and I got my friend named Sai to take on this sting challenge.
I'm here to get stung by a couple insects, yeah?
Sai pulled it out so we could get our first look at it.
Sai, what do you think of this thing?
It's so small for being something so painful.
Yeah, and they say this thing's sting is so strong that it's able to kill cows.
Is that real?
Well, no, these things have actually never actually harmed someone. They're just extremely painful, so there's nothing for you to
that's
worry
good.
about.
That's good then.
Yeah.
So I went and picked this thing up with some tweezers, and mine is a bit small, so it's hard to see, but if you look very closely, you can actually see the stinger here retracting in and out. Cow killers have the longest stingers in the world, so they can inject their venom super deep into the victim.
All right, Sai, we're just gonna jump straight into this. I got it here, I'm not gonna lie. I'm just gonna put this on your arm right now.
Okay, I'm really scared. This is gonna hurt. This is gonna really hurt. All right, $10,000. That's a lot of TerraGreen plushies. Oh, ow!
Did it sting you?
Oh, yep, that's like deep.
Oh, it stung you.
Yup, it literally happened so fast, I didn't even realize he got stung. But based off of his reaction, he definitely did. Yeah, he was feeling it.
It burns. It feels like it's down there in the middle of my arm.
That thing just injected its stinger down deep into your arm and put that venom up in there.
Does my skin look, it looks red.
Yeah, that thing, it's just gonna get a big red spot there over time.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, this pain can sometimes last for up to days, but to make sure Sai didn't have to endure that, I put some of this special stuff on his arm that should help get rid of the sting as much as possible.
Sai, America's largest scorpion species.
Okay, that's probably gonna be a lot worse than the crab.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah, you know what, for 2,500, I think we can tank it.
Let's do it.
But you could tell Sai was starting to get a lot more skeptical. And this time, he wanted to spend a bit of time to research online to figure out if it was actually safe to get stung by a desert hairy scorpion. Now, these guys got pretty painful venom, but of course, everything I've chosen in this video is completely safe for Sai to get stung by. It's just a bit painful, of course.
So, Sai, what do you think? Is this something you're down to get stung by after researching on Google?
Yeah, I mean, based off what Google said, seems pretty safe, but it's definitely gonna hurt.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna hurt, but for 2,500, I mean, what do you expect? Let's do this. Yeah, can you get your finger out? Yep, and can you get it inside?
So yeah, at first Sai wasn't really sure of how to get stung, so he kind of just started to tap the scorpion's claws and stuff to see if he could get it mad. But you see, scorpions are actually nocturnal, so I knew it was pretty unlikely that this dude was just gonna randomly sting Sai since we were recording during the day. And after like a minute or two of Sai very fearfully putting his finger around and even on the scorpion, my theory was proved right because the scorpion was actually being very chill and not even stinging him once. You see, when people like Coyote Peterson did their scorpion sting tests, they actually grabbed the stinger of the scorpion with tweezers. So I figured I should do the same thing here to ensure this test went very smoothly.
All right, Sai, 3, 2, 1.
Ow!
Oh, did it sting you?
Yep.
Oh shoot, what does it feel like?
Oh, it's not that bad, but it's sharp. It's sharp.
Nah, you just got stung by a scorpion and you're saying it's not that bad.
I felt it go into my skin.
Shoot, that must have been painful.
Yep, apparently the pain immediately wasn't so bad. But he did tell me as the minutes went on, he could feel the venom sort of spreading around the area where he got stung. But in this round. And here it is, a rainbow land crab.
All right, so we got the crab out the container, as you can see, and what are you thinking of it? First impressions.
It's very colorful, and the claw on the left there is kind of big, but
Yep, crabs actually have one big claw to use for extra crushing power, so hopefully Sai gets pinched by that. But actually, something I noticed about this crab was that it was actually injured. You see, normally crabs are supposed to have 4 legs on both sides of their bodies, but this dude only has 2 legs on this side of his body. I'm not sure how he lost 2 of his legs, but because of this, I wanted to make sure I built this guy a nice little enclosure. That way he'd have a place to rest after the pinch test. But yeah, don't worry, this didn't take long because we just immediately started to spam place a bunch of rocks all along the side of the enclosure. Now this may look kind of like trash, but I'm actually trying to recreate a rocky coastal environment that these crabs are used to in the wild.
All right, could you help me outside? Could you pour the water in?
yeah, I got you.
Let's get this crab a nice home. Oh yeah, yep, get that water in.
Yep, you're pretty good at
He's
this.
swimming forever.
After we got the water in, I started to scatter around some of these random decorations, and obviously I planted some plants in the water. I put some final technology in, like a filter and a water heater, so we could have this build finished. Anyways, yeah, we quickly introduced this crab into the enclosure, and it seemed like he liked it. And he immediately found some nice little places to hide at. But obviously, Sai has a $1,000 to win. Let's do this test. All right, Sai, for $1,000, you can go ahead and take the crab out of the container, and yeah, you just get pinched. Do it however you want. Just take it out.
Let's see how it goes.
All right, you're just gonna let it crawl out. Let's see this. So yeah, immediately the crab ran straight up to Sai's finger, and it looked like he meant business. But Sai actually thought the best way to do this test would be to pick up the crab. So yeah, that's what he did. All right, so you got a hold of it. That's a pretty smart move, but all right, his pinchers are ready.
All right, let's do it.
Go ahead. So Sai started to put his finger up to the claw of the crab, and the crab started to give the most vicious, brutal pinch of all time, as you can see. I'm just kidding. It was barely pinching. What are you feeling?
Not much. I mean, he's kind of just sleeping, it seems like.
Bro, what is this crab doing? You're holding him in his hand, like, and he's just grabbing on.
We're best friends. We're holding hands. I mean, this guy's my friend. Can I keep him?
Yeah, actually, it was kind of funny how friendly this crab was. I mean, it genuinely just looks like the crab is hugging Sai's arm here. It's actually kind of cute. All right, Sai, would you say that was easy or hard?
I think that was the easiest thing I've ever done.
Well, I didn't tell you about the second part of the challenge where you got to let that crab actually pinch your cheek on your face.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah, he really thought the crab was so weak that he was genuinely smiling and happy to do this.
It's licking me.
It's licking you.
I feel like it is. Kind of wet.
Yeah, it is a crab.
That's a fair point.
But yeah, if you couldn't already assume, the crab also didn't really do any real damage here. He just kind of gave it the slightest little pinch ever. Well, Sai, that might have been the freest $1,000 of your entire life.
Possibly.
But remember, the only reason I wanted Sai to get pinched by a crab, this is a yellow jacket, and they're known for their insanely sharp sting. So this should be pretty interesting. All right, Sai, let's waste no time. You got the wasp there. He looks pretty angry. For $500, get your arm out and put that cup on your arm.
Alrighty.
Yep, so we went and put the cup on his arm at the place where he was gonna get stung. All right, Sai, I'm gonna start pulling it out. Oh, wow, this thing is getting mad. All right, I'm just gonna pull the paper towel out and let's see if it stings. It's really mad, Sai.
It's getting mad.
Pause. By the way, I gotta mention this, but do not try this at home, obviously. As a YouTuber, I've taken tons of safety precautions behind the scenes to make sure this is a safe test. And similar to why Coyote Peterson gets stung by all those crazy bugs, our goal today is to figure out which bug actually has the craziest sting and make an entertaining video. Anyways, let's get back to the wasp. Yep, this dude was furious trying to escape, but wasn't immediately stinging, surprisingly. I think because the wasp didn't even know that there was an arm under him. He might have just thought that this was floor under him. Let me tap the side of the glass. Maybe we can get him mad. Sting him. $500, Mr. Wasp.
It's literally on my skin, bro. Just stick it in already.
And thankfully, Sai's wish came true immediately after he said that, because this happened.
Okay.
Wait, you actually just got stung, Sai?
Yep. It definitely hurts more than I remember.
How much is it hurting, like out of 10, you would say?
A 6 or 7 out of 10.
Let's go. Come on, follow me. So I took him down a trail by my house till we found a harvester ant nest. Despite these guys being pretty small, they actually have pretty painful stings. But yeah, it's pretty much nothing compared to the stings later in this video. For $100, put your hand on the ant nest in 3, 2, 1. Now, Sai has to keep his hand here for 45 seconds to win. But unfortunately, it wasn't looking good for him because immediately workers started to swarm onto his hand.
It's super tickly. I haven't gotten bitten yet.
No stings or anything?
Not yet.
You're straight up on their nest and they're not even defending it. These ants suck. But oh boy, did things quickly start escalating because out of nowhere, like 15 more ants started swarming onto his hand to investigate what it was. Still not stinging it though. Do you feel anything?
It's just super tickly. I don't know if I haven't felt anything sharp just yet.
And I was thinking he wasn't gonna get stung at all as the timer started to run out. 3, 2, 1, and...
Oh my God, ow. Oh.
Yeah, so apparently Sai literally got stung at the very last second, but by just one ant, thankfully.
Oh, that's sharp. That feels really sharp. It's like a tiny little needle. That feels really sharp.
There are billions of lizards alive across the world, but out of all of them, one species stands out as unique.
But what the hell, what?
Chameleons. You see, chameleons have the ability to be bred to have extremely rare color patterns, like a literal rainbow. but I just came across the rarest color variation that I have never seen before.
This beautiful red and blue chameleon that literally looks like a Nintendo Switch. Just to represent how rare this is, let's say there's a billion lizards on Earth and about 1,000 of those are a chameleon with this exact color morph. That would mean there is a 0.0000001% chance of this existing. And sure, it may cost $899, but this is gonna easily be one of my coolest pets ever.
And once I get it, I'll show off some special abilities of chameleons that many of you have probably never seen before. But it's gonna take a few days until it gets shipped out to my house. So in the meantime, I probably should build up an enclosure for the chameleon with everything it could possibly need to live an amazing life. And of course, to build that, I'm gonna need the giant 120-gallon terrarium and hundreds of dollars worth of supplies. But to start the build, the only thing we actually need is some dead leaves and bark. You see, to make the floor for a chameleon, you don't want to use normal materials like dirt. This is because chameleons have these special tongues that when they're shot out, they'll pick up stuff like dirt on the floor and eat it, which will make the chameleon sick. Yeah, I don't want that to happen. So even though this floor is super simple, it's actually perfect. But of course, the rare Nintendo Switch chameleon I'm getting is gonna need a lot more than this in its enclosure. Yeah, this is just definitely not enough. So for step number 2, I got a whole bunch of wooden branches. Now, as you can see, I installed these 2 metal bars going across the enclosure, which I'll start by covering in the branches I have. I made sure to make the branches reach all along the top of the enclosure, the bottom, the sides, and literally everywhere. And after they were secured in place with zip ties and foam, I covered up most of that ugly stuff with some moss and leaves. So it doesn't look like a 5-year-old made this anymore. I also got a bunch of these vine things, which are basically these long bendable rubber sticks that recreate the look of jungle vines, and they curve all around the enclosure.
Okay, if I'm being honest, this does look a little bit cluttered and messy right now. But trust me, coming up in this video, I got some stuff planned that's gonna make this, actually look good and be an actually good enclosure.
And plus, all these branches and vines are actually very necessary to allow the chameleon to climb and swing around the entire enclosure. And don't worry, guys, because I'll be getting plants to cover up these big ugly foam things in the corner. Speaking of plants, I should probably put some in here since that's the next step to finishing this amazing home.
Alright, so obviously I've got plants now, but you'd be stupid if you think I'm just gonna put these straight into the enclosure. Oh, no. I'm going to make these plants way, way better.
And what I mean by that is I'm gonna make them look extra cool with some animal-safe red and blue paint. Yeah, I'm gonna paint these plant pots to be the same color as the chameleon I'm getting. I don't know why, I just think it'll look cool, okay? Yeah, I did this on every plant pot. It took forever. But after letting the paint dry for a few hours, I started to scatter the plants along the floor and sides of the enclosure. And in no time, I was done.
And check this out. This looks, it looks alright. I mean, the plants and everything look fine, but maybe the blue and red pots were not the best idea. The paint kind of started to fade. It's not even blue anymore, but it's still pretty funny, and I bet the chameleon's gonna like to see some of the stuff of his same color. So, anyways, I gotta get to the next step. Let's just go to the next step right now. Let's go to the next step.
Okay, anyways, on the to-do list, there's 2 more steps to make this a chameleon dream home, starting with some basic technology. And what this means is I've got a bunch of technology like this light bulb, which is necessary, but to be honest, it's nothing special. This light bulb in specific generates heat, and as you can see, right in the basking spot under the heat lamp, it reaches up to 90 degrees, which is perfect. And of course, in a cooler part of the enclosure, it reaches about 70 degrees, so the chameleon won't get too hot or nothing. You know, we don't want the chameleon to get heat stroke. And finally, I set up a simple water misting system, which, you just press a button and it starts spraying water all around the enclosure. Yeah, pretty simple, but it's very necessary. But another basic technology you need is a long UVB light bulb, which recreates the same UV rays the sun does. And basically, this lets the chameleon get vitamin D or something. Okay, well, now that the boring technology is over, let's get some fun, custom, advanced technology in this enclosure. And to start, I got this big, cool blue thing. So I bought this egg-looking one, which I had an idea for how I could use in the chameleon enclosure. So I pressed a button to open it up, and inside was, this thing.
What The heck is this? Okay, I guess inside there's a Mr. Beast toy that makes that annoying noise. Well, I don't really know what I was expecting, but I guess let me just put this inside the chameleon enclosure, and there we go. If you're wondering why I put this in here, well, I was just thinking I want to give the chameleon a nice friend, and you know, this is kind of animal looking thing, so okay, I'm sorry, this is stupid. Let's just go to the next technology.
And now next on the to-do list, this one is even cooler than the last.
All right, so for the second thing I'm adding in here, basically I just wanted to make it look more like a home. And as you know, most homes have paintings around their house because that's just what homes have. So I'm gonna add my own custom painting inside of here.
And to get the custom image made, I asked AI to make a picture of a red and blue chameleon wearing a suit.
And oh, look at this, look at this. Oh my gosh. Wait, okay, we're gonna put this painting inside the chameleon's home. Oh, this is gonna be pretty cool.
So I drove to the printing store and printed the image out, hoping no one around me would see me getting these stupid looking paintings.
Bruh. And there we go, check it out. This looks pretty, I mean the painting looks kinda cool, but I don't really know why I added this either. It's a little useless, but anyways, this entire enclosure is actually pretty much finished. I don't know anything else I can add to it, so I guess it's just time to add the rare red and blue chameleon inside. Let's just cut to then. So as you can see, I got the lizard right here, and I don't know what I'm doing outside. I should probably just go put him in the enclosure.
So I opened up the package and immediately was amazed by its beauty.
Oh my gosh, this thing looks super cool. Okay, wait, this is easily gonna be my coolest looking pet.
The only thing to do was open the lid and let it crawl out when it was ready. And of course, it went straight to doing its stupid chameleon dance.
Well, what the hell, what?
Now, as you can see, the colors on it right now are sort of darker than what they should be. And that's because currently it's a bit stressed from just getting out of the shipping container. Coming up, I'll be explaining exactly how chameleons change color and why by showing you guys this rare lizard. But for now, I want to show the amazing ability that chameleons have to hunt prey from literally across the enclosure.
So yeah, that's what I'm gonna be feeding him today.
So I waited a few hours before putting any crickets in to allow the chameleon to adjust to his new home. And as you can see, soon enough, his color started to brighten up, and that means he's ready to hunt.
Come on, crickets, get out, get out. There we go. Yeah, get out.
I put a few of the crickets inside, and at first they sort of just started to mind their own business, just walking around looking for food, you know. But little did they know that they are about to become food for this guy.
Hi, how are you?
Now, the first ability chameleons have for hunting is their eyes. As you can see, both of his eyes are able to move in different directions, constantly scanning everywhere around him in front and behind at the same time. And it wasn't long until the chameleon set one of his eyes on one of the little crickets. He started to move into attack position very slowly. Yeah, chameleons are so slow, they're basically sloths. Yeah, whenever this chameleon was within a couple feet of a cricket, it locked onto the target and shot its tongue directly towards it. And because the tongue is so sticky, it just brought the cricket in with it so it could enjoy a nice, tasty meal. And after seeing how cool it was when the chameleon, and while this cricket thought he was safe, little did he know what was about to happen. Chameleon's second ability, their insane tongue that's over a foot long. Hunted, I got a funny idea.
Okay, you see this cricket here? I'm gonna get this onto my hand like that. And then I'm literally gonna try and feed the chameleon from my hand. You can see it's right there. It just jumped off. Okay, take two. We're gonna put this right next to the chameleon's mouth. And there we go, that's the perfect spot. Eat it, bro. Eat it. I wanna see this thing eat from my hand so bad. It's literally right in front of you. Hello? You're just gonna watch it? It's crawling all around my hand. You have the perfect opportunity, and you're not doing it. And okay, I think the chameleon's just walking away at this point. I guess he doesn't really want to eat from my hand. I'm sorry, cricket, but I'm just gonna, you're gonna get eaten.
Anyways, I should probably name this rare chameleon, and like I said earlier, this thing has the exact same colors as a Nintendo Switch. So I'm gonna name my chameleon Switch. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty creative name, I know. Anyways, now I'm gonna show you guys exactly how chameleons change color, and it might actually be pretty surprising changing colors. And while this viral video is actually very cool to watch, it is completely fake. Yeah, chameleons can't actually control their colors like that, and in reality, they only have the ability to become slightly darker or slightly brighter. This happens because of super tiny cells in their skin that can get bigger or smaller depending on certain conditions like heat. You see, when I first put Switch in the enclosure, he immediately ran up to the heat lamp and sat under it, which made his color change to be way brighter. Anyway, Switch is very cool, and I've only just scratched the surface of chameleon care. I might even end up doing another video where I breed Switch and another rare female chameleon to get an ultra rare chameleon.
We've all seen piranhas in movies depicted as these crazy evil fish that will eat anything they lay their eyes on. But despite how deadly they're made out to be, for some reason, you can legally buy them to keep as a pet.
So I'm gonna buy 6 piranhas, build them a home, and test to see if they're actually as vicious as the movies made them out to be. Meaning, yes, I will be putting my hand inside of their tank. What could go wrong? Let's just buy this thing.
And so literally the next day, the delivery van dropped off the package. I cut open the tape on the box that had the piranhas inside.
Oh shoot, bro. There is literally piranhas right under my hand. Let me take this bag out. And oh, I cannot believe I'm gonna be keeping these as pets. What the heck?
Thankfully, every single piranha had survived the shipping, so I put all 6 of them into the tank. But when I put them in, I realized they were barely moving and definitely not acting like normal vicious piranhas.
And look, I can literally drop a cricket into the water, and usually they would go crazy immediately eating that up, but check it out. No reaction at all.
You see, the reason they're not moving is because they need a way bigger tank with all the right stuff inside. So I got out a new tank and filled it with 100 pounds of sand. We gotta do this because, of course, the first step is creating the floor and decorations. To continue this process, I started to use these sort of thin sticks and use a hot glue gun to hang them from the top of the enclosure. You see, these piranhas that I bought are red-bellied piranhas, which are supposedly the most vicious species, and they live in the Amazon River where there's all these roots and stuff hanging in the water, so that's what I'm trying to recreate in here with this. Anyways, next up, it was time to use even more wood. You see, this time I want to stack up some thicker wood to make it look like a massive tree trunk is growing from out of the water. So I actually took the wood out and used some water-safe spray foam to connect all the pieces together with some branches coming off of them.
And then once all the spray foam and stuff on it has dried, we just plop it in there like that. And boom, there we go. Check it out. You can even see the roots and stuff. It's pretty cool. It looks like a tree, but there's still a bit more decorations we have to put inside of here.
First of all, you guessed it, just some more wood randomly scattered around, but then some rocks because pretty much every Amazon riverbed has them. And finally, some pebbles like this, which I dropped around the enclosure, and some even tinier little pebbles, which I also dropped around the enclosure, which makes the sand across the whole thing look a little more realistic.
Well, I'd say this is a pretty good start to the base of the tank, but now it's time for the fun part. Let's go get some aquatic plants for this. Okay, I'm at Petco, and I'm not gonna lie, the aquatic plant section is looking a little lousy today. Pretty much all these plants are like dead. Bro, no way I'm paying $10 for a dead stick with a little leaf. But let's buy all the ones here that are alive like this.
So I picked out all the good plants and even found this little cool vine one, which of course I had to get to. So I drove home and got all the plants out.
Oh man, this is already the most plants I've gotten for a video, and that's not even including this big bag of leftover plants Petco had.
Anyways, I went and put each of the plants in the sand across the tank and filled it up with a bit of water. That way the roots of the plants could stay nice and moist while we continued building.
Oh, and I almost forgot the most important part, this vine thing. Let's just put this across the branches like that, and oh yeah, check it out. It looks like a vine.
Well, next up, as you can see, I've left this little area here empty. That's because I want to build a graveyard here with a ton of skulls and stuff because apparently piranhas are deadly. So I drove out to buy some.
Okay, I'm at PetSmart first, and I found this skull decoration, so I'm gonna get that. Ooh, and they got a tiny little animal skull. I'm definitely gonna get that too.
So I bought those and a couple more decorations with skeletons on them. Then after getting home, I put some of the larger skulls around in the sand. I even replaced some of the rocks in the back with them, so this place would look extra spooky.
Then with these tiny little skull beads, I'm gonna go and plant them around in the sand, just like that. Then I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of sand on top so it looks like they've been buried. And there we go, check the graveyard out. It actually looks pretty good. Bunch of skulls on the floor, all those other big skulls. Yeah, I like it.
And now finally, to finish this tank, we gotta do the DIY technologies. And for the first one, I started to set up across the whole back of the tank. You see, right now, this stuff does nothing. But once I fill up the entire tank with some cycled water, which took a long time because of how big it was, check out what it can do.
All right, now if I go and plug in these pumps, as you can see, it starts to make bubbles at the back of the enclosure. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But basically this little air pump just blows air into this tube, which goes into there. But what I could actually do is unattach that and just blow into this myself to make bubbles. That was cool.
Anyways, the last technology is this little fish. I'm just kidding. I've actually already shown this in a video before. So what I've got is the upgraded version. Yeah, this one's way bigger and way cooler.
Which, as you can see, if I just go and put it in the water like this, it starts to swim around like a normal fish.
And yeah, I just think it'd be funny if I maybe tested the piranhas to see if they try to eat it or something. So I sucked the liquid up into the syringe thing and brought it over to the tank.
Okay, this might seem kind of complex, but it's actually genius. You see, I can basically squirt some of this around in the water, and it just spreads the scent around.
And what I'm gonna do is attach it to the side of the enclosure, and whenever I want to get the piranhas mad and in hunting mode, I just squirt a little bit of this out the end, and it'll make them go absolutely crazy. So I attached that to the side of the tank with some glue, and then it was done. And now, anyways, this tank is now complete. And speaking of the piranhas, it's time to get them inside.
Okay, I'm gonna try my best to not get bit here. Oh, no.
So I grabbed the temporary tank they were in and brought it over to their new home so I could scoop them out.
Okay, they definitely look more aggressive than the first time I did this, but I'm just gonna carefully scoop one guy out just like that. Oh shoot, he's mad, but I'm just gonna put him into the new tank, and there you go. Be free, my friend. New home.
So I did that same process with the other 5, and there we go. The piranhas were in their new home. And as you could guess, immediately they packed up like piranhas do and looked as though they were already on the hunt for food once again.
Well, these piranhas look pretty hungry, I'm not gonna lie, or maybe piranhas are just always hungry. So now I'm gonna feed them. Now, if you remember at the start, the piranhas wanted nothing to do with the crickets, but let's see how they'll react now that they're in this new tank.
So I dropped in just one, and because it was just floating there, I grabbed it with tweezers to show the piranhas. Instantly, you could see they picked up the memo that this was alive, and they sort of started to nibble it like the mealworms. But not even a single piranha actually took a big enough bite to eat this cricket.
Okay, that was pretty bad. I guess these piranhas just don't really like insects, so that's why I'm gonna rapid fire the next 2 off. Here you can see I've got salmon and ground beef, which is a lot more smelly. They better like this.
I started by waving the salmon around in the water until the piranhas noticed it, and once a few started to come up and nibble it, I accidentally dropped it into the sand where all the rest of the piranhas came swimming up. They huddled around it like a pack of hyenas and started to actually take little chunks out of the piece for them to eat. So I did the same thing with the ground beef and held it in the water. And this time the piranhas were even more interested, and instantly the entire pack huddled around it and took turns taking their bites out of it. I even noticed that the scraps of it had fallen onto the floor and were getting surrounded by the piranhas too.
Well, the first of which being mealworms.
And before feeding them the mealworms, if you remember, I had this pipe with the delicious juice inside, which I went and squirted inside to let the piranhas know it was feeding time. And as you could guess, they immediately started to go up and eat it, which kind of made a mess, but yeah, they were loving it.
Oh my gosh, do you see that? They're all gathering around the little area where I just put it in.
So now that they were ready, I dropped in the mealworms and one started to sink down. 2 of the piranhas noticed it and kind of took nibbles at it, but they were kind of just playing around with it more than they were actually eating it. And that same thing kept happening with most of mealworms, but that was until I saw this, where 3 of them took turns devouring it up, and yeah, this one actually got eaten.
Okay, well, mealworms, they loved that so much, but that doesn't mean I gotta do my hand now. I said I would do it in the intro, so, you know, let's just do it. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Start the timer. Let's see how long I can keep it in here.
Right away, nothing really happened because none of the piranhas were near my hand. But I knew this was kind of cheating, so I moved my hand closer, where right away, one sort of noticed me and actually started to chase my hand as I moved it away to avoid getting bit. So of course, I moved my hand back over to the pack, where some of them definitely got sort of close to biting me, but they were nowhere near as aggressive as they were towards the beef. You see, it's actually a common misconception that piranhas are evil towards humans like all the movies say.
But to be honest,
if a black widow walked into a Venus flytrap, what would happen? Would the trap close on top of the spider and eat it whole? Or would the black widow be able to use its venom to squeeze its way out? Well, I'm gonna be testing just that, along with tons of other insect types to see how strong Venus flytraps really are.
I think I'm gonna buy both of these trap bundles. Then I'll be able to test the cheap and expensive traps to see which will be more effective at catching insects. But hey, I guess let me just check them out.
And thankfully, only a couple days later, I got the traps delivered in the mail. After taking them out, I separated them into cheap and expensive. You can see the cheap Venus flytraps actually gave me quite a lot for just $10. And the traps themselves did look pretty healthy, big, and had that signature green and red color. Nice. However, over on the expensive side, you can see these are a bit different. They're not even packaged at all, and they look way more natural with moss all around the dirt. However, the main difference in these ones is that they're basically fully red. Like, they literally look like an apple. I've never seen Venus flytraps like that. But other than that, these traps mostly look the same, and hopefully at least one of them will be able to I put 30 minutes on the clock. Let's see what happens. happens. Now, for the first little while, the cricket spent most of its time just walking on the dirt along the side of the glass to, of course, try and find an escape. Because let's be real, every cricket that sees me on this channel knows it's about to get eaten. He did not want to be in here. But after 5 minutes, he made his first approach to the traps. And one thing I should probably say is that the crickets are way more attracted to nectar, as it's a primary part in their diet. And that was shown because soon after, the cricket started to climb on the outside of the jaws of this trap. And right after that, I actually realized the cricket had stepped inside one of the traps, and it sort of looked like it was drinking nectar. But hello, Venus flytrap, there's a cricket standing inside of you right now. Are you gonna close? Yeah, the cricket really just stood there for 30 seconds, and when it was finished drinking the nectar, it started to walk out, and then finally the trap closed. Good job, bro. You were only a minute late at closing. I guess the cricket must have just not hit a trigger hair inside until the very end, which is why that happened. Anyways, nothing really new happened up until 15 minutes left on the clock, when I decided I wanted to add in 3 more crickets to make this more interesting. And while these guys all ran around the enclosure, I closely watched them to see if any would step inside any of the traps. And at 5 minutes left, this happened. You see, this cricket started to walk up the stem of this trap. Then he walked inside, realized it was a dead end, and tried to turn around. But it was too late because the trap closed on him, leaving him half stuck inside. So I literally just got some time-lapse footage of this guy to see if he'd be able to escape. And actually, while I was recording that, another cricket below also stepped into one of the traps. And he also got half of his body stuck inside. Thankfully, this cricket was able to use some of the stuff around him to pry himself out of the trap. However, I don't know if this guy will be able to do the same, since he's in the air and has nothing to grab onto. So I guess I'll just leave you here. Sorry, boy. Good luck. But anyways, that concludes the timer, and I would call this a half success for the cheap plants this time. But oh boy, am I excited to do this with the expensive traps. I didn't want to waste any time, so I put in 1 cricket. And this time, the cricket instantly walked towards the traps, like within a couple seconds. And he started to just play with his life, because he would just be walking through the plants like this, narrowly escaping the insane speed of these expensive Venus flytraps. Now, only a few minutes later, the cricket once again walked into a Venus flytrap. This time, he managed to dodge all the trigger hairs, and he put his mouth up to the lip of the plant to drink some nectar. But yeah, the second he started moving again, he wasn't so lucky, because the trap got an absolutely perfect close on him. And well, it only took 7 minutes for the expensive traps to fully capture a cricket. So once again, I'm gonna have to give the win to expensive. And I think I'm gonna rate that a 6 out of 10 for entertainment, because way more traps closed, which was fun to watch. But $10 traps first. Without wasting any time, I just put in a single fly and put 30 minutes on the clock. And if it gets caught before the timer's up, I'll add in some more flies. But instantly, as you can see, the fly started to climb along the glass to try and escape. Thankfully though, I've sealed this enclosure shut, and once the fly realized that, he ended up going back down to the floor. Now this is where things get interesting, because the fly landed on one of the pots with all of the Venus flytrap plants. What makes Venus flytraps so effective is actually their nectar. Just like normal flowers, these traps also produce nectar around this little green lip part of the plant. And basically what it's designed to do is lure hungry insects in, and while they're eating the plant, of course, it shuts. But I guess because these plants are so cheap, they didn't have very much of that nectar, because after standing around for like a minute, the fly just flew away without even stepping in any of the jaws. And from there on out, the fly basically drained the 30-minute timer down all the way to 3 minutes by just standing on the glass. However, eventually he decided to explore near the cheap Venus flytraps once again. And this time he got a little bit too close, because he stepped onto one of the traps and it could literally close on him right now. But the trap took a second too long, and the fly was able to fly out once it sensed the movement. You see, Venus flytraps have a very interesting system for how they detect prey and activate their jaws, which I'll go more in depth with when the trap actually traps an insect. For now, the fly just sort of walked around on the dirt for the rest of the timer, and well, the cheap trap was a fail. Thankfully, over on the right, we got the expensive one though, worth 10 times more, and this should have a much better result. So I put in a new fly, and let's get the timer started to see how quickly this guy gets caught. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this fly was a bit crazier than that first one, because for the first 3 minutes, he literally just flew around the entire enclosure like he was insane, just hitting all the glass trying to escape. But after he tired himself out, it was time for the Venus flytraps to do their thing. Instantly, you can tell the fly was way more drawn to the traps, as these expensive ones have a much stronger, more smelly nectar. And that was proven because right after, the fly walked in one of the traps. But quickly, it walked out right as the trap closed. Yeah, you can see in this instant replay, the trap may have missed the fly, but comparing the cheap and expensive traps, the expensive one closes way faster. And only a minute later, the fly was still chilling near the traps, and this time the nectar caught him off guard, because he walked onto the trap and put his face straight up to the lip of the plant where it was. And well, yeah, the video is paused right now, but you could probably tell what's about to happen. Just like that, the trap got a perfect close on the fly. You see, every single Venus flytrap has these super tiny trigger hairs inside of the jaws, and when a bug or something touches more than 2 of them, the trap starts to close. And these expensive ones are able to close so quickly that they catch most of prey that steps inside. You can see slight bits of movement inside over the next 20 minutes, but over the next few days, the trap is going to release a type of acid on the fly to digest it down and grow even stronger. Well, it only took 5 minutes for that to trap the fly, and the cheap one didn't catch any.
Died laying around. I'm pretty scared of black widows.
Anyways, I went and put one of the black widows inside the cheap trap enclosure and got 30 minutes on the clock. This is about to get interesting. Let's see what happens. Right away, the black widow made her way towards the traps. Now, black widows are a lot slower than crickets and flies, so if this spider steps inside a trap, there's a high likelihood of it getting caught. And while nothing really happened for the first couple of minutes, eventually the spider started to walk along the tops of some of the traps. You can see black widows are very meticulous with their movement, and it would very carefully place its legs above the trap, making sure not to step inside. But even with that, the spider was playing a dangerous game, because all it needed was one bad step. Anyways, about 15 minutes later, I noticed that the spider had actually started to spin a little bit of silk, and maybe it was planning on building its web here. But unfortunately, she would never get the chance to finish, because she took a wrong turn into the Venus flytrap, and well, it closed straight on her. Almost perfectly. However, there was still some legs sticking out. To be honest, it didn't look good for the black widow, and besides a few leg twitches, it looked like the spider had just lost to the Venus flytrap. And if you thought that was cool, well, you gotta see the expensive Venus flytraps, because right after putting the black widow in, he instantly walked up to a Venus flytrap. And literally within the first 30 seconds of the timer, he stepped inside one of the traps, ducked down a little bit too much, and the trap closed on him within an instant. In my opinion, this one was even cooler to watch. And yeah, his legs were also just stuck sticking out of the sides of the trap. And well, hopefully that answers the question. Venus flytraps do beat black widows. Bed bugs are tiny parasites that hide in your bed and suck your blood while you sleep. On a website that will literally sell you 10 bed bugs.
Now, I don't think these are meant to be kept as pets, but hey, $20, what could go wrong? Let's just buy these.
So in this video, I'm gonna build a home for them, document exactly what it's like to have bed bugs as pets, and literally feed them my own blood at the end of the video. Yes, I'm not kidding. I don't know why I'm gonna do this to myself. Anyways, until the bed bugs got delivered, I got out an enclosure to build their home.
Now, I'm pretty sure there's no documented case of anyone keeping bed bugs as a pet, so I figured out what they need myself. Yeah, all these supplies are for the bed bugs.
Anyways, first up, I started to pour some coconut fiber dirt into the enclosure for step number 1, the floor. You see, for most of the floor, we want to use this dirt material, but that's not it. We actually want to pour a layer of sand on top of it, just like this. You see, I'm doing this because bed bugs would be almost impossible to spot if they were just on dirt, but on the sand, I should be able to see them perfectly.
And I really got to make sure I keep track of every bed bug, because if they escape, let's just say I'm not going to be sleeping too well. Why am I doing this?
Anyways, I finished off the floor by creating some little sand mounds in the back that I would soon be able to cover in decorations. And speaking of decorations, for step number 2, we're gonna put in the natural decorations. For those, I got out some simple stuff like cork bark, spider wood, and some gray stones, and strategically placed them around in the sand. I even stacked a few pieces of wood in this corner and covered the top in some moss to make it look like a tree. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm an expert designer, as you could tell.
And all this stuff is gonna be perfect because bed bugs like to hide under tight little spaces just like these, which is also why they like to hide under mattresses. Yeah, it's pretty cozy under there.
To finish off the natural decorations, I planted a bit more moss around just to add some more color and bring the whole thing to life. Alright, now for the next step, it's time for the artificial decorations.
And basically what that means is I literally want to build a mini bed from scratch to put in the middle of this enclosure to see if the bed bugs will prefer to hide under natural decorations or if they really just love beds. So I'm gonna buy some fabric and then I'm gonna fill that fabric with cotton. Then I'm gonna sew the ends of it together and probably it'll look something like a bed, but I don't know if it's actually gonna work because I've never really properly sewed before, but yeah.
Anyways, I grabbed all the materials needed and drove home. So anyways, like I was saying at Walmart, we first just put down the fabric like this, and I said I was gonna use cotton, but I found something that would work even better, which is this giant like foam board. And so with that foam, I cut out a bed shape, then cut the fabric and got to sewing. Honestly, I had no idea what I was doing. I was kind of just threading the string through randomly, and it ended up looking pretty trash, and eventually the string came apart, so I decided I would just do it the old-fashioned way with some tape, and in no time it was done.
Now of course I'm gonna put this in the middle of the enclosure, but that's not all I'm gonna do. You see, the reason bed bugs love mattresses so much is because they smell like humans. So basically what I need to do is make this mini mattress smell like me, and I have the perfect idea for how to do that.
So I got out my bike helmet, lined a little towel rag along the front of it, it, put it on, and started to go for a bike ride. So basically, I'm just gonna ride around for like 20 or 30 minutes, and that towel I put in my helmet should absorb all the sweat, and then I could just basically squeeze it on that little mini mattress. Yeah, I'm a genius, I know. So I went on my little ride up and down some hills, you know, and when I got home, I took the rag off my helmet to see if it would work. Okay, I think there's like a solid amount of sweat on this, so I guess let me just go and try and squeeze it on top of this. Come on, just get a little bit of sweat out. Oh, shoot. Okay, wait, that's actually a pretty good amount of sweat. Dang, wait. Okay, this is kind of nasty, I'm not gonna lie. And there we go, it just kind of looks like someone peed in the bed now, but hey, this should smell like me now. Well, now that the mattress is done, it's time to move on to the final step, which is a DIY technology. Now you see, bedbugs are attracted to an air molecule called CO2 because it's the same molecule that humans breathe out. And since bedbugs love that smell so much, I'm gonna build my own custom CO2 emitter right there, and then I'll test to see if the bedbugs like go flock towards the smell. I don't know, it'll be cool though. Now to make a CO2 emitter, you first gotta get out a nice large soda bottle and pour all the soda out. Well, technically you don't have to pour it out, it's just not healthy to drink that much soda, so yeah, that's why I'm pouring it out. Anyways, then you get the empty soda bottle and fill it up with some special ingredients. First, we fill it up almost entirely with water, and then add like 2 cups of sugar. And then the final step is to add some yeast in here, which is the same thing you use to bake bread. Basically, all those ingredients I just added are gonna react and do some science, and basically, out the end of this tube that I attached, a bunch of CO2 is just gonna come out, and yeah, I'm just gonna see if the bed bugs go and smell it or something. I don't know. Well, the bed bug enclosure is now finished, and that means it's time to add those nasty creatures inside and be the first person to have pet bed bugs. Literally doesn't have a roof. Well, I forgot one important step, escape proofing the enclosure. But don't worry, because I've kept ants before, and I actually got this special serum for the ants that prevents them from escaping, and I'm just hoping that it'll do the same for the bed bugs. Basically, you just get out a little cotton ball, put some of the special serum on the end, and rub it in along the top edges of the enclosure. All right, now even if the bed bugs are able to climb the glass, they're gonna climb up, and then they're gonna get to this stuff, and basically it's just super slippery, so they're just gonna slide right off. And then finally, I'm just gonna put this top on it just like that. That won't actually do anything because these holes are pretty sure too big. Yeah, the bugs could probably just fit through it. All right, well, here they are, the bed bugs. They literally just got delivered, so thankfully they weren't sitting in the snow too long. But as you guys know, I'm not exactly too thrilled to be keeping these as a pet because like I said, I'm literally going to let them be sucking the blood out of my arm. I don't know why I do this, man. But let me just get them in the enclosure I built for them. So I brought them to my table, cut the tape, and lifted the flaps. Oh my gosh. I think they're inside of this thing in here. Okay, I guess let me just get this out. And bro, genuinely, if these things escape, my mom is going to be so mad. And speaking of escape, you might be wondering, how will I prevent them from escaping? Considering the enclosure I made, opened the top of it, and dumped about half of the 10 inside of the enclosure. Immediately, one of the bed bugs started to scurry around his new home looking for cover and went straight into a dark spot under the nearest rock. But a few seconds later, I saw this bed bug and he actually ran straight over to the little bed mattress I had made. And after crawling on it for a minute, he set up camp in a little piece of cork bark right next to it. I guess the fact I had made the mattress smell just like me was working really well, because over the next minute, I saw 2 more of the bed bugs just chilling on the mattress too. Dang, that's actually cool how they all just went onto this little mini mattress I made instead of all the other decorations. But to be honest, I've kind of already lost track of every single one I put in. Yeah, they're just so small. But the reason bed bugs are so small is so they can go undetected while hiding in people's beds. And when they find a victim to suck the blood of, they can literally get more than double in size with how much they suck. Anyways, bed bugs are nocturnal because obviously they feed on people at night. So in order to get them to suck my arm, I'm gonna bring my mom in here at night, show my new pet to her, and then get her to film me getting bit. This is not gonna be fun, but let's just go cut to then. You have to guess what pet is in there based on the stuff.
I'm gonna guess. I'm thinking a spider.
A spider?
A spider.
Well, it's a bug, and I'm just gonna tell you what it is. It's, well, don't get mad at me, seriously. It's bed bugs.
No, it's not, dude.
It's pet bed bugs. That's funny.
That's not cool.
It's pretty funny. Okay.
No, dude.
Okay, so to attract the bed bugs, I built this little contraption. Basically, I just take that off, and I'm just gonna pour some of this stuff. It's yeast. But basically, this is gonna have a chemical reaction in this bottle, and after I shake it up, it's basically gonna produce carbon dioxide, which is CO2. So I'm just gonna leave this tube here, and we'll just see if any bed bugs come out, so you can see them.
Wait. Do you see that?
Oh my god.
Wait. Right, no, there actually is one right there. Do you see that? It's like a little tiny orange thing.
Yes.
Oh, that's a bed bug.
Oh my god, you're so crazy.
But the good thing is you're not gonna have to deal with them because, well, I have to tell you something. You remember the other day I got a leech and I let it suck on my arm?
Yes.
I have to do that with the bed bugs.
No.
Yes.
No.
Okay,
They
well.
don't feed off of your arm.
Yeah, they suck your blood.
Oh my god, they do not.
So basically I've collected about, I think, 4 of the bed bugs in this jar. Well, I just gotta roll up my sleeve, I guess, and we're gonna feed them.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so, well, I guess let me just start. We're just gonna tip the jar like that and slowly let them crawl out. Okay, there's one on my arm right there.
Oh
Let's
my
just
god,
test it
dude.
with one.
Yeah, we're just doing one.
Just with
No,
2.
just do 2. Don't do any more than that.
That's okay. We need to get all 4
No,
of
we
them.
do not. No. Okay, put them back. That's it.
Why?
Because they're crawling and I'm not getting them anywhere else in this house.
It's okay, they'll bite me. So basically they can pick up the scent immediately of what my arm is like, and I'm pretty sure these 3 are already all biting me. This
God,
one's just
dude.
the one that hasn't bit yet.
Soon enough, all 4 were biting, and basically all I felt was a little bit of a prick. The pain wasn't anything crazy though. But over the next 10 minutes, my mom and I would watch them fill up with my blood.
All right, so I just took the camera from you, and as you can see, I think they're starting to fill up. Is this weird?
Yeah, it's super weird. Oh, you can see them fill up with blood?
Yeah, if you look closely at their bodies, like you remember how they were super thin, now they're kind of getting a little thicker, and it should start to turn red soon. Oh, they already are actually.
Disgusting.
Oh, do you see that one?
Ew.
It's starting to
No.
move. That means it's done.
Oh my god,
So
good.
basically what you do when it's done,
All of them in the jar.
it's okay, we'll get it. Don't worry.
You see, basically when they start moving, that's when they're done feeding. So I put 2 of them back in the jar since they were done. Then a couple minutes later, another one finished, and then the final one a few minutes after that.
All right, and then the last one is in its jar. We're done. That's how you feed your pet bed bugs.
Oh, right. Don't ever do this, anyone.
All right.
I have no idea what condition the one I'm gonna get is gonna be in, but I want to do my part to help. Hopefully we'll still be able to save it. Let's add this to the cart. And of course, I paid extra for 1-day delivery, so this axolotl didn't have to spend any extra time in this box.
Oh, I really hope this axolotl's okay. Okay, there's ice packs. That's a good sinus package. Well, now for the moment of truth. Let's see this axolotl.
The axolotl was alive, and so I quickly brought it over to this temporary tank so I could put her inside and get a better look. She was a beautiful black axolotl, almost 10 inches long, meaning this thing was fully grown.
Now, I actually went and emailed the people I bought this from, and they told me when they got it, this axolotl was found at a pet shop. And when they got it, it had these massive white spots on it and even a chunk of its tail missing.
But axolotls are amazing because they're one of the few animals that are able to regrow limbs literally from nothing. It's insane. And this girl had already made a substantial amount of progress in healing her tail, as you can see.
But they also said that she's not fully recovered yet, and they said to add this chemical called a stress guard, which I have right here, as you can see. And yeah, basically this stuff will add a little bit of a slime coat to the axolotl's skin and help it recover even faster in this temporary tank.
So it's my goal to get this axolotl fully thriving again by the end of the video, and while we wait for the stress guard to take effect, let's build its dream home. Which every axolotl tank of course starts with the floor, which we'll start by adding in a layer of this aqua soil that will give the proper nutrients to all the cool plants we're gonna add in here. Then we're gonna cover that with a layer of sand so the soil won't make the water dirty at all.
But for this build, I've got these. Like a bunch of black crystal rock stuff that I can just go and scatter all over the sand.
Obviously, our rescue axolotl has this unique dark color. So for this whole enclosure, we're gonna be matching that theme as much as I can. As you can see, I got super small black rocks that are almost like sand, medium-sized pebbles, and even large stones, which adds a ton of variety all over the sand. Very nice. But now the tank needs some big rocks, and as you can see, I've got a few different types. But the choice of which to use is clear. You see, axolotls have super delicate skin that can easily scrape on stuff, and especially our rescue axolotl cannot afford to get scraped while he heals. So I'm gonna use the smoothest stones here with no rough edges, which I put a few of those on the side, and I also got out some of these pieces of wood and kind of played around with them to see which style I liked most, and I ended up deciding on this with the 2 long pieces of branches on the 2 sides. But as you can see, I've kept the middle of this enclosure completely empty. That's because secondly, I'm going to be building an axolotl cave, which yes, will literally be a cave that looks like an axolotl's head, which, well, I mean, that's the plan at least. I don't know how well it's gonna go.
And building this for the axolotl is going to be perfect because in the wild, they absolutely love dark sheltered areas because it keeps them safe from predators. And I guess caves are made out of rocks, so I'll just start kind of stacking them around here. I bought a bunch of rocks, as you can see.
And after measuring how wide the cave was gonna be, I decided to build it outside of the tank to make it easier. Basically, the plan is we line up the rocks in a kind of circular shape, and then we get out some spray foam and, well, we just start spraying to connect them all. Yeah, I love spray foam foam so much because it's so useful for all of my aquarium builds. Anyways, I continued to stack the rocks up more and more with spray foam till it ended up looking sort of like the shape of an axolotl head. We got the mouth as the entrance to the cave. Then I put on some giant googly eyes to, obviously be the eyes. And finally, axolotls, of course, have these little hairy things coming out of the side of their head. These are actually the axolotl's gills, which let it breathe, which obviously we had to put on this cave. So I got some of these dark red pipe cleaners and kind of just stuck them on the side of the rocks.
All right, but as you can tell, this is obviously a little bit tacky. I mean, the spray foam is basically like a different color than the rocks. So that's why I'm gonna add some paint. And don't worry, I double checked to make sure this is aquarium safe once it dries. The last thing we need is paint toxicity for our injured axolotl.
So yeah, I went and carved off all the excess spray foam and painted the parts that I thought would make it look better. And anyways, here is the final axolotl cave. And as you can tell, it's basically a one-on-one replica of our axolotl. So I went and put it inside, and well, boom, it is done.
But you see, the coolest thing about this axolotl cave is if we go off and turn off, all the lights, the eyes glow in the dark, kinda. It's not even that dark in here. If it was pitch black, this would be kind of scary to be looking at at night, I'm not gonna lie.
Anyways, before the rest of the build, you're probably wondering how the axolotl is doing. Well, she's actually doing really good. It's been about 8 hours since putting her in here, and you can tell she was being way more active, walking around thanks to that stress guard.
But I've been doing even more research of how to heal the axolotl, and a lot of people are saying to use Indian almond leaves in the water. I didn't even know what those were, but I went out and bought some, of course. Whatever I can do to give the axolotl his best health, I will do. And I guess you just put them inside like that and then just mix it around. Okay.
Immediately, you can see the leaves provided a little bit of cover above the axolotl, which probably helps her feel safer, but it also starts to slowly turn the water a cloudy tea color. Basically, this is because the leaves are spreading this thing called tannins around into the water, which is just some natural thing that helps the axolotl skin get even healthier. Nice.
And if you didn't already know, axolotls literally don't need any sort of land area in their tanks.
Which of course, while that goes into effect, the next step for the tank is DIY decorations. And this time, I've got a really good plan. I got a brick and chisels again. Yep, a couple videos ago, I tried to make a fish statue by carving it out, and it looked super good and super realistic, as you can see.
Well, one of you guys commented saying I should make an axolotl statue, so let's see how this goes.
So first of all, I sketched out how it was gonna look, and this time I got out a professional carving kit. And yep, I don't know what any of these tools do, but I immediately got to work. Once again, I refused to watch any sort of tutorial on how to properly do this, and it might have been reflected in my work quality because this stone was way harder to carve out than the one before. And even this is super sped up. If you see the real speed of how slow I was going, you could probably understand how painful this was. So I decided to just call it finished here.
All right, check it out. As you can see, it is absolutely, it's really good. This could easily belong in the museums besides the other greatest works of art. Actually, guys, I'm just kidding. This looks like the stupidest caveman tried to draw a lizard on the side of his cave. It's not very good. Hey, it was still kind of fun to build, so I'm just gonna plop that right there. And if you think my sculpting work is super good, go ahead and leave a comment saying what I should build next. I might try one more, and I don't really know if it's gonna go too well.
I also put on some googly eyes because, of course, everything needs googly eyes to look good. I'd love for the plants in here to match the black theme, but unfortunately, black plants mean dead plants. So I'm gonna have to stick to some old-fashioned blue plants. I mean green plants. They don't have blue plants. So you already know the drill. I drove to Petco, pretty much bought out their entire stock. And by the way, sorry to anyone that needs to get plants here after I visit. I always buy all the good ones. And I brought them back home. Now, for some reason, I forgot to click record on my camera during the planting process. But just imagine this is what it looked like. I took the plants, put them in the sand, and I did that with all of them. Yep, pretty revolutionary stuff. Then I filled it with cycled water, which I also forgot to record, but by the end, it looked like this.
But it's this thing. It's a circular air bubble maker, and it should give oxygen to this whole tank.
I was just gonna go and put it inside, but I'm not gonna lie, I kind of wanted to see what it looked like in action before we filled up the tank. So I put it in this temporary one and check it out. Oh yeah, look at the bubbles. I don't know why every time I put one of these in my tanks, it makes me excited. And yeah, I kind of was just playing around with it a little bit too much, watching the bubbles go in weird directions. Anyways,
which yup, I've got right here. And I'm gonna go and hang it right above the tank so I always know what's inside of here.
So don't worry, to follow the outline of this picture. To make the drawing on the plaque, I first drew the pattern out of pencil, and if I thought any part looked bad, I erased it and redrew it. And by the end, the outline was pretty similar to the one on my phone. And don't worry, I know you can barely see this, so in order to actually engrave it into the plaque, I now had to use this wood burning thing. Basically, the end of this pen is like a bajillion degrees hot, and it literally burns the pattern into the wood. It's kind of like what I did in my camouflaged mantis video when I made the sticks black, but yeah, just much more controlled, and it didn't take too long to finish it all up. I even went and wrote what I was gonna name the axolotl at the top of the plaque.
Yep, I'm naming it Black's the Axe. A lotl in parentheses. Because obviously, it's a black axolotl. I feel like that name fits and it rhymes. Black's the axe. Anyways, let's hang this up.
So I went and hung it above the tank. It's time to get the axolotl inside and do tons of other fun stuff with him to give him the best life after being injured.
Oh, Blacks, I got some good news for you. I don't know if you've ever been in a proper enclosure, but what I'm about to add you to definitely is.
So I brought my new friend over to the enclosure and let him free. Immediately, he was already super active, exploring around the whole thing, which was a good sign.
But I'm gonna be obviously doing more than just watching this guy. I have all these fun things that I want to test with this guy real quick. And the first one is food. Let's test 3 different food sources. They're axolotl pellets. I have a feeling though he's not gonna eat it as fast as those worms. That was like literally under a second, but let's try.
Now this time, let's just say the axolotl wasn't too interested because it took seconds before she even did anything. But she did end up putting her nose right up to the pellet to figure out what was in front of her. You see, axolotls have pretty bad eyesight, so they usually rely on their nose to scope out stuff. And here, after giving the pellet a very, very thorough sniff, she eventually took a bite at it, tasted it in her mouth for like a second, and ultimately spat it back out. Okay, I guess she doesn't like pellets. Hey,
It's some like freeze-dried bloodworms. Yeah, let me unpackage these.
the goal is to see how quickly Blacks will eat each food source to see which she likes the most. And well, with these bloodworms, she was actually pretty interested, because after like a second, she saw them and snapped, but she missed them. So she tried another attempt at eating them and failed again. But finally, she did actually get a hold of the rest of the worm, and boom, that only took like 10 seconds. Yeah, and she also looked so cute and happy after eating that. Dang, she must have been hungry.
All right, these are proper earthworms, basically. Yeah, let's see how long this one takes.
And this time, the axolotl must have set a world record because it only took a little over 1 second for her to get a hold of this worm and start devouring it. I mean, let's get an instant replay on that. Nah, look, she was ready for that worm, and yep, she was even happier after having this in her mouth because it must have tasted spectacular. Okay, this is good knowledge. I know to stick with the worms now. Anyways, about 10 minutes later, I noticed Blacks had walked herself into the axolotl cave that I'd built for her. Seems like she was just gonna chill in here for a bit. Hey, I'm glad she's liking it and using it.
Now for the final thing I want to test with the axolotl that's currently in the cave is, well, a GoPro. Yep, I've got a GoPro that I'm gonna stick underwater and do some fun stuff with it. All right, click record and let's switch to this camera, baby. Okay, I'm gonna start going underwater.
And yeah, after getting it to the bottom and kind of just sticking it inside the cave, you can see the axolotl's body was actually right here. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see since the axolotl matches the color of the rocks, but yeah, she was just chilling in here. To see if I could lure her out, I actually went and picked up some more of her favorite food, which is the worms, of course. At first, I was kind of just waving them around in there, but she didn't really see them. Well, that was until this, when I put the worm a little deeper in, and just like that, the axolotl took it straight from my grip and was now devouring it. Yep, Blacks will never pass up on the opportunity to eat a nice juicy worm, and she was not letting me grab it back, so I decided to just let her have it. And this is a toe biter. Yeah, might sound funny, but these little bugs live in lakes and spend all day eating everything they lay their eyes on. And to humans, they're known for injecting venom into toes, causing extreme amounts of pain.
So I found this website that will sell me some to keep as pets. Yep, I'm gonna build them a home in this fish tank. Let's buy 2 of these. Let's see how this goes.
And you already know, the delivery drivers worked overtime to get these to me as soon as possible. So I cut it open so I could get out the containers. Supposedly the bugs were inside.
All right, let's see these. Oh shoot, no, this thing's massive.
Since it was kind of hard to get a good look at them in these containers, I got out this temporary tank and put them in. I was very careful because supposedly these guys have wings, meaning they could just fly out to my toes and start biting them if I wasn't careful. Anyways, now we can really see how absolutely vicious these guys are with their insanely sharp pincher forceps that they actually use to latch onto prey in the wild. Then, using a little sharp mouthpiece they have, they inject a special type of venom into prey that turns the inside of their body into liquid that they then proceed to slurp up like a smoothie.
Yeah, I really hope these guys don't escape while making this video. video. But anyways, let's just build them a home and keep them as pets.
This can't go well, but the first step is to make the background of their home. To make this look good, I wanted to put this black board along the back. That way the tank would have more of this dark feel that matches how creepy the toe biters are. Then I got out some spray foam. Yep, wouldn't be a TerraGreen video without it. But this time I used the foam to connect all these pieces of cork bark along the back to add some sort of natural feel to it. I even went and covered all the excess spray foam with some dirt so it wouldn't be as ugly.
But the coolest thing is, as you can see, is I actually hid some of these plant pots along the top. Basically, it's gonna allow me to plant some beautiful plants in here, and it's just gonna be super luscious by the end of the video, probably.
But to really complete this backdrop, we need to add these. These are called sticks. Yep, and we're gonna put these along the back wall. If you didn't know, sticks are really cool because they grow from trees, and they're actually made of wood. I'm just kidding, guys. I know you guys all know what sticks are. I don't know why I'm explaining this. Anyways, yeah, I put so many of these sticks along the back because I really wanted to make this place look like some underwater mangrove swamp with so many roots everywhere.
I'm already loving how this is coming together, and we're not even on step 2, which is actually to make the floor and decorations.
For this build, I just wanted to use this simple gravel material for the floor. But along with it, I've also got this, which I've never actually used before. It's a little underground cave that goes up against the glass. Basically, after we go and fill up the rest of this floor with gravel, you can see this cave stays as an open area that stuff can go inside. And maybe our toe biters will come and chill in here, or maybe some of the prey we add will come and hide in here. For as long as they can, of course.
Now, you're probably wondering why I didn't add any of this aqua soil like I usually do. And well, that's because I'm not gonna put any sort of plants in here this time.
Instead, I want it to look like some abandoned swampy area with super murky water. And we do that by putting a ton of natural materials around, like this big driftwood piece coming out the middle, and then a bunch of smaller stuff, like these dead leaves, some mini pine cones, and little sticks.
But most importantly, I've got some beta miracle leaves. Oh yeah, I don't know why they're called miracle leaves, but hopefully they spread some sort of miracle around the tank, something like that, surely.
But actually, I kind of do know why these are called miracle leaves. Because if I go and fill up this floor area with just a bit of water, you can see over the span of about an hour, it starts to turn into this brown, murky color. That's because those leaves and all the other natural stuff I added inside is spreading around tannins in the water, which turns it this color. And it's actually super healthy for any fish or bugs that would live in here. Dang, the more you know. Anyways, I drained that while I continued on with the build by putting in a few lava rocks and covering them in a bit of the sphagnum moss, which I also put all over the background of the enclosure.
Finally, the most important decoration is some little mini plastic boots. Yeah, because we all know at the bottom of every lake and stuff, they just got like boots and stuff. At least that's what all the fishing games I've played have told me. Yeah, I got some pretty cool decorations, as you can see. I'm just gonna put that there.
Now for my favorite part of each of these weird pet videos, the DIY decorations. And for the first one, let's make some pictures. Yup, I literally went out and bought these mini dollhouse picture frames. I'm just gonna scatter all around the enclosure with funny pictures of toe biters.
And to make some funny pictures, I gotta do some photoshopping. I'm a Photoshop master, so this should go pretty well.
First of all, I used my expert skills to make a picture of a toe biter eating one of its favorite foods ever, a frog. Yes, they actually eat frogs in the wild. Then I made this picture of a toe biter flying in the air with beautiful angel wings. Because yeah, like I said, they can actually fly with their actual wings, but they don't look as majestical as these angel wings, of course. Finally, I found this picture of what it looks like when a toe biter lays eggs. Yeah, apparently they literally keep them on their back until they hatch. So I put a bunch of baby toe biters all around this mom toe biter.
Then we just gotta go and print out these fantastical pictures. And yes, I finally got a printer at my house, so I don't gotta go to the store no more. And wait, no, what the heck is this, bruh? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I forgot you gotta buy color for the ink. Okay, I guess I gotta go to the store anyways. Please do that, by the way.
Yeah, so I drove to the printing store to get the photos instead. Anyways, when I got home, I cut out all the little images and put them inside their frames. As you can see, I obviously have the ones I photoshopped, but I also found this picture of all the toe biters' favorite foods, like insects and fish, so they can daydream about them all day. And I also found this picture on Google of some crazy person who willingly let this thing bite him. Why the heck would you do that, bro? I don't know, I just thought I had to put this in. Anyways, for the next DIY build, I'm gonna make some signs. Yep, I literally went out and bought all these random pieces of wood so I could burn some cool patterns on them with my super hot wood burning pen. With the first sign, I made it say, beware of the biter. And I even put a little bit of eye emojis at the bottom. You know, I just thought those looked cool. And then on the second sign, I made it said, rest in peace to all the insects and fish that enter this tank. Because as you know, toe biters do not take kindly to those kind of things.
And I could just go and put these inside of the tank. I kind of want them to look like signs. So I got these sticks that I use for the background, which I'm gonna go and hot glue to the
back of them. Once they dried, I stuck the 2 signs in the floor and got out the final sign that I was gonna make a pattern on. This time, I stuck these little wooden letters onto the sign to write toe biters. Then I completely burned all the letters black so they stood out. All right, let's just hang that right there. And oh, that's actually fire. Hold on, wait, that's actually on fire. Oh, no, I'm just kidding, guys. It's just, some editing. Yeah, don't worry, but it is actually fire. That's pretty cool. And now the build only needs one more thing. Some plants to put in those pots that I had at the top of the enclosure. So I drove to Walmart to buy them. Oh yeah, I haven't been to Walmart in so long. I already know they're gonna have some fire plants. Bro, what is this? Wait, this is the entire plant section? Yeah, I don't know what my Walmart is doing, cause why the heck is there only like 5 plants here? None of these plants are even the right type and they would all die in the water. Come on, Walmart. Hashtag bring back the plants. Everyone comment that. We actually gotta bring back these plants. Anyways, I went home and instead just got out these terrarium plants that I had sitting in my garage. Listen guys, I tried to go to Walmart. I know you guys get mad at me whenever I don't, but hopefully this is good enough for you guys. And anyways, once the plants were inside, I filled it up with water, and as you can see, it turned super brown from all the tannins, of course, which is perfect. That's exactly how I wanted it. And yep, this is now 100% complete. We don't need a filter or anything because toe biters are extremely resilient to water. So the next thing is to literally just get these guys inside. Okay, I gotta be extremely cautious with this. I have no idea how I'm gonna do this. I'm just gonna, okay, 3, 2, 1, quickly pick it up. Oh, they both fell off. No. Okay, they're swimming around. I gotta put this back on top so it'll fly out. So I instead went with a different approach and moved the cork bark to the new tank and instead used this net to try and transport the toe biters without them flying away. Okay, move. Okay. Thankfully, it was a little bit more successful, so I did the same with the other toe biter, and you can see they both just swam straight down to grab onto something, and they stayed completely still. But they do this for a purpose. You see, toe biters have evolved to have the exact same pattern and shape as a dead leaf, and they stay completely still till some prey swims by them. Then they pounce on it. So you already know, let's test the 3 food sources with these guys. You see, insects are great and all, but in order for my toe biters to be healthy and thriving, they need to eat fish, because that's what they eat in the wild mostly. And thankfully online, there's tons of websites that sell feeder fish just for this purpose. So I bought 2 of them so we can get our pet toe biters their proper nutritions. The next day, they got delivered, so I got them ready to feed. All right, let's do this. And I even got my GoPro so I can get some nice underwater shots of these toe biters eating. Let's dump one of these fish inside. The fish that I had put inside immediately started swimming around. But little did he know that this was the home of my pet toe biters, which were secretly sitting right next to him, watching his every move. And only a couple minutes later, he got a little too curious and started swimming near the toe biter. The toe biter was preparing to strike, but he had to wait for the perfect opportunity in order to not scare the fish away. And when the moment was right, he pounced off the rocks and missed and scared it away. Bruh, come on, I thought you were a master hunter. So instead, 5 minutes later, I decided to just help him out by feeding him with some tweezers. There you go, boy. Hope you enjoy. And yeah, this seemed like it was probably his favorite food, and he would not let go. Mealworms are one of the most common foods for the kind of pets I keep, so I had a feeling these guys would definitely enjoy them. First of all, I dumped one in the water with some tweezers and waved around in front of this guy. And instantly, he dashed off of his rock towards it, and it actually scared me a bit, but he didn't even actually end up attacking the mealworm. So when he found a new spot to go and rest, I did the same exact thing. And this time, he struck at it, and he scared me so much, I actually dropped the tweezers with the worm. I don't know why this scared me. I'm literally using tweezers, but yeah. Anyways, on the 3rd attempt, this is what happens. He went and grabbed the mealworm with his claws, and he actually got a good grip with it. Then he brought out his sharp mouthpiece and started finding a good spot to poke into the worm with. Eventually, he made the bite, and as I said earlier, they inject a special digestive enzyme into their prey that turns the inside of them into a liquid that they then proceed to slurp up like a smoothie. And yeah, this must have been a tasty, tasty smoothie. I think there's roaches in here. Oh yeah, right there. You see them. I wanted to make this one quick, so instantly I put one of these roaches in front of the second toe biter, and almost immediately he pounced onto my tweezers totally, and he just like would not let go. I think he didn't even see the roach, so I just knocked him off the tweezers and tried again. This time he actually grabbed the roach, but he also grabbed onto my tweezers again and straight up just would not let go. So I kind of just set the tweezers down while he ate the roach, and you can see this guy was also absolutely slurping this up and probably enjoying it a lot.
Most people are extremely scared of spiders, with my mom being one of them.
Hey mom, look at this.
Go away, go away, go away. I don't want this pretty
But spiders are actually some of the coolest animals in the world. So to cure my mom's fear of spiders, I'm gonna buy the coolest spider species in the world, which is called a Goliath bird-eating tarantula. Supposedly, this spider will be able to grow up to a foot long, shoot poisonous hairs out of its back, and yes, literally eat birds. Yeah, my mom's gonna love it. Anyways, the first step to keeping one of these as a pet is to buy it. And since Goliath bird-eating tarantulas are so exotic, the only place I can get one is online for $100.
Alright, I guess let me just buy this thing at the cart, check out, and there we go. It says it's gonna be here in 7 days.
So to prepare for when it arrived, I went out and bought an enclosure and $400 worth of supplies. That would let me build a tarantula dream home that would have everything it could possibly want. Then when finished, I'll be showing the tarantula to my mom. Get this trash out of here. I'm gonna make this thing actually look good. And to do so, I have some spray foam, which I gotta shake up and spray all along the back of the glass. But I'm trying to make this backdrop look like an actual forest, and this obviously doesn't look like a forest. So I quickly covered most of it with some pieces of wood before it dried, and then I hit the rest of the foam with some dirt. But that's only the first step. I've still got tons more stuff planned for this tarantula, like building a custom burrow for it with literal furniture inside. Yes, I am going all out. But before I'm able to do that, I need to first create the floor, which I'll start by using these Leeka balls. Oh, they're falling out. Which will be used to create the drainage layer. And by putting this layer of weed barrier on top, it will allow water to pass through, but not stuff like dirt, which will help prevent mold outbreaks. Now, obviously, to finish the floor, I've got to add dirt on top of the drainage layer, which for some reason, the dirt I bought is compressed into this brick. I don't know who made the dirt into a brick. That's kind of dumb. Anyways, to expand it, I just have to add water, do some mixing, and it ends up looking like dirt, as you'd expect. But to make the dirt even more natural looking, I mixed in some moss, bark, leaves, and potting soil mix, which ended up looking pretty nice. The floor is now done, and you might still be thinking this enclosure is overall pretty ugly, and I'd probably have to agree with you on that, but of course I'm not done yet. And I've still got some crazy stuff planned to prove to my mom that spiders are cool. But before I can do any of that, let's make this enclosure actually look nice with plants and decorations. To start off, let me drive off to the plant store, also known as Walmart, and pick out some pretty plants. They've all been acquired, but now I've got to get some moss. Now, unfortunately, the only type of moss stores near me sell is sphagnum moss, and this stuff is ugly. To make the enclosure actually look good, I need to get carpet moss, which can only be obtained by going outside. So, I gotta go outside.
Yo, look at this. They got mossy cobblestone for Minecraft in real life. Okay, I don't really know how moss works. Can I just, like, grab it? Yeah, that kind of works.
So I got out some bags and got to grabbing it and putting it in the bag. So now I had everything I needed, and I got straight to the decorating process. Decorating is a skill that must be acquired from years of experience and wisdom, which is why I am so good at it. After the plants, I scattered around some wood, which I bought from Amazon, and finally I put this super cool looking skull in there, because you know, tarantulas, they're deadly, and skulls, I don't know, it looks cool. Oh my god, look at this terrarium right now. This is absolutely beautiful. I mean, it's kind of beautiful. It's pretty good. Now, I could just leave it at this and add the bird-eating tarantula right now. But if I really want to prove to my mom that spiders are cool, I'm gonna have to create even more stuff in this enclosure to impress her and, of course, the tarantula too. So, like I said earlier in the video, I'm gonna create a luxurious burrow for the tarantula to sleep in. So, for the base of it, I dug out a nice big area right next to the glass, and I put a little cork bark log on top to make it nice and dark inside. But, of course, this is just a normal burrow, and I'm gonna make this thing luxurious. So to do so, I'm gonna add some decorations inside, like a picture on the wall and a rug on the floor. Firstly, I'll do the picture frame, which I designed on my computer to be a nice, beautiful picture of a bird, which supposedly the Goliath bird-eating tarantula is gonna be able to eat, which later in this video, I'll be testing to see if that's actually possible. Anyways, to finish this picture, I drove to the store to print it out, and did some arts and crafts to glue the picture onto the picture frame. Okay, you gotta admit, I am an artist. I drew this picture from scratch. That deserves, yeah, you see that, what that says? Yeah, you gotta do that. Just scroll down and do that right now. You just do it, please. Also, I don't know why my fingers are green, so don't ask. There we go, baby. We can check the picture frame off. Now let's finish this burrow with a rug. To create the rug, I was gonna originally just cut a piece of the living room rug off, but I realized if I did that, my mom might get mad. So instead, I got some leftover carpet moss and just slid that in there like that. Oh, dang. This moss actually looks super comfy. I bet the spider's gonna have a nice time sleeping on that fluffiness, comfiness moss. Yeah, that's pretty comfortable. Now for the final step of creating the tarantula's dream enclosure, we need to make it bioactive. And what that means is basically just add some tiny life into it to make it into a real ecosystem. So first, I got these silver springtails, which are so tiny that I have to get a special zoom lens just to be able to barely see one of them. There's about 1,000 of those guys in all of these rocks, so I'm just gonna scatter them around the enclosure like this. These springtails apparently eat decaying matter and help with the natural decomposition process. Yeah, I don't really know what that means, and I don't really care about all that. I just think they look cool, so that's why I'm adding them. And speaking of cool looking stuff, check these guys out. These are Oreo isopods, which are basically just roly-polies, except they got the colors of Oreo cookies, so they're way cooler. Well, welcome to your new home, boys. If the tarantula gets hungry, he might just eat you guys. So, sorry about that. And okay, they're already escaping. Stupid bug. To finish off the process of making it bioactive, I gotta create the ability to simulate weather events. So I got a water misting machine and a fog machine to create rain and fog, obviously. Wow, very cool. And of course, I can create lightning by flipping my studio light on and off. This natural enclosure is completely finished and ready for the bird-eating tarantula to live in it. And after adding him into the enclosure, I'll be showing off his unique abilities and seeing if he can actually eat a bird, all in front of my mom, to see if I can convince her that spiders are actually cool. So yeah, the spider will be delivered later today. Just cut to that.
And okay, I think this is it. The tarantula is in this box. And oh shoot, I dropped it. And oh shoot, I just stepped on it. Oh no.
I'm just kidding. The tarantula is actually safe and sound in this little temporary enclosure I put him in. And well, here it is, the Goliath bird-eating tarantula. And I know it may just look like any ordinary tarantula, but in reality, this is literally just a baby. Yeah, this thing will eventually grow to be a foot long. I don't even know if it's gonna fit in this enclosure. Anyways, to add the tarantula into his new home, I got some safety equipment and moved his container into the enclosure. Okay, well, the spider is in his new home now. And, okay, I think he's sleeping. Since spiders are nocturnal, I turned off the lights to trick him into thinking it was nighttime so he would move around. And of course, it worked. Yeah, spiders are pretty stupid. Eventually, he even made his way into the burrow I built for him. But my mom is still at work, so before she gets home, I'm gonna make sure the spider is nice and hungry by feeding it a juicy cricket. And when my mom gets home...
Alright, are you ready to see my new pet?
No.
Okay, it's in there. Can you guess where it is inside of the enclosure?
Oh my gosh. No, I don't want to. Is it really poisonous?
Yeah, if it bites you, you'll probably get you might die. But, okay, do you want to know where it is and see it?
Not really.
Okay, well, you're gonna have to.
Underneath that? Right there?
Okay, yeah, it might be.
Dude. Ah! Oh my god, dude. Are you serious? God, no. I hate spiders. It's not funny.
I've got this to try and prove to you that they're cool. So basically, it's gonna grow to 11 inches long.
No.
So if its legs are out, it'll go like that long.
Now, I want to find out if the tarantula is actually capable of eating a bird. We'll be feeding him much more. Anyways, for now, I turned off the lights to get the tarantula into predator mode, and then I dropped the cricket inside. You see, tarantulas like mine have thousands of tiny hairs that pick up vibrations in the air. So this bird-eating tarantula knew there was a cricket standing right next to him. And a few moments later, he made his move. Okay, well, I think we know the tarantula's pretty hungry now. So let me wait for my mom to get home and we'll show her how cool this spider is. This is gonna be fun.
In this bag is a frozen mouse from Petco, and it's humane and everything, and it's important to feed the tarantula a variety of food. I just need you to take the handle.
Oh my god. Dude, I'm scared to put my hand in there, dude.
You're not gonna, okay, just, do it.
Matt?
I'll move it in closer.
Ew.
So yeah, it's just holding on to the mouse. I think it's just puts its fangs into it.
Oh my.
Oh, it just hit the back of its abdomen, and you see those little orange hairs on it?
Yeah.
Whenever it hits the back of the abdomen, those fly in the air and they go in your eyes and poison your eyes.
What the?
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Can it do that to humans?
Yeah, if you stand too close to it, your eyes are gonna get super rashed.
What?
Is that cool?
No, not really.
Can you just stick out your hand like this and then stick it inside and pick up the tarantula?
Oh, no.
It's fine, it doesn't even hurt if it bites.
Sure.
I just showed you everything it has to offer. Do you think this is cool? And did I change your mind about spiders?
Absolutely not.
I didn't change your mind about spiders?
Nope, we gotta get rid of it.
Okay, well, I guess in hindsight, maybe buying the biggest tarantula in the world wasn't a good idea to cure my mom's fear of spiders. Well, this tarantula will make a good addition to my pet collection, and since he doesn't have a name yet, whatever the most liked comment on this video is, will be what I name him. I'll literally name him anything, so go to the comments and like your favorite suggestion.
This is an alien worm. It is an extremely rare worm species that has the insane ability to shoot slime out of its mouth to glue its prey to the ground. Usually, you would never be able to find one of these. I had received the so-called alien worms.
Yo, please tell me I did not get scammed with these things.
But I took out the packing material, and thankfully, these rare creatures were actually here.
Oh, it's the alien worms. Yo, I gotta get a closer look at these guys.
So I took the lids off of the containers that they were packed in and carefully moved one over to a damp paper towel. Instantly, we can see why people call them alien worms. They quite literally look like a mutant abomination between a centipede and an earthworm, and their skin is lined with thousands of these tiny weird bumps. But of course, the weirdest part of these worms was revealed when I tried to move it with my tweezers. Almost instantly, it turned around and spat its alien slime all over them. Yup, out of these two front arms, the alien worm is able to straight up cover my tweezers in this sticky glue substance that they actually mainly use to glue prey to the ground so they can easily go up to them to eat them whole. It's something straight out of an alien movie.
And of course, I don't just have one of these worms. I have 10 of them. This is gonna be so fun.
To get started, we need to recreate the alien worm's natural environment in this tank, which surprisingly is not actually some alien planet. These creatures actually live in the Central American rainforests. So I'm gonna be using some spray foam to make the background of this tank first. It's been a while since I've used it, but spray foam is the ultimate cheat code for rainforest tanks. Of course, because of the amazing ability to be able to stick stuff like dirt, sticks, and tons of other natural stuff to it to make it look, you know, natural. And once this background is looking pretty good, step 2 to making this tank is to do the floor, which is surprisingly important for our alien worms to get right.
But thankfully, that's not too hard to do, because basically all we gotta do is just take some of these clay balls and pour it in like that. Then once that's filled up, we gotta get out some window screen.
If you're a terrarium expert, you'll probably know I'm making a drainage layer right now. By cutting out this window screen and putting it above the clay balls, it lets water drain down into it, but it will still let us put our dirt right on top.
Now, you may have noticed that whenever I've had one of these alien worms out, they've been on a nice damp paper towel. That's because this species needs constant moisture or else they'll simply dry out and just die. So that means for this tank, we're gonna wanna add a ton of this nice purified water down into the drainage layer so it'll just stay nice and moist.
But I'm not just gonna pour water in the tank, that would be boring. Here on the TerraGreen channel, I gotta make things interesting.
That's why I've got a Spider-Man water shooter to add the water. Yes, sir, this thing shoots streams of water just like Spider-Man's web shooter shoots webs. And yeah, this might be kind of stupid, but it actually makes sense to do this because if you think about it, Spider-Man sticks his enemies to walls with webs, and well, the alien worms, they shoot goo onto their prey, so yeah, this definitely makes sense to do. Okay, and I think it's out of water. Okay, I'm just gonna pour the water in normally.
So yeah, after adding in the water, you can see this drainage layer now had a nice healthy amount of water in it. This moisture will help keep the dirt above nice and wet. And speaking of that dirt, it's now time to add that in. Lots of people sometimes like to make their complex mixes of tons of different types of dirts and mosses, but today I'll just be using this nice old bag of jungle dirt mix. This already has a good ratio of all the different types of natural stuff that makes up the dirt in the jungle where the alien worms actually live.
There we go. Look at this place. It's actually looking pretty dirty. Yeah, you see what I did there. Dirty, because there's dirt everywhere. Anyways, in my hand, I have a ton of insects. Don't ask me how I got these. You see, I have something I want to do with these. Basically, I'm going to dig a little hole here along the side of the glass, and then I'm going to bury all of these insects right there, basically.
You see, obviously the alien worms eat insects, so I thought by burying these down here, there could be the slight chance that our alien worms would pick up on the scent and dig down to find them. To be honest, I don't even know if alien worms can dig, but hey, I guess someone has to find out somehow. Anyways, this is where the build starts to get fun, because now it's time to do the decorations.
Yep, the first decoration I want to make is a cave made out of rocks. But it's actually cool how you make it. Let me show you.
Yeah, you may just think that we could just stack a bunch of rocks on each other and call it a cave, but in reality, there's a lot more that goes into it. What I actually had to do is buy these wooden skewer things and essentially start poking them into the background to make these little platforms for me to place rocks on top of. This essentially lets me create an arch shape out of all the rocks here that the alien worms will be able to walk under. Then we basically glue all these together with some more spray foam. Yep, since it's black, it blends in pretty well. And once I covered most of the excess spray foam with some more rocks and dirt, boom, the cave is done. All right, but this place is still looking pretty barren, so I figured it was time to finally start adding some color around with this nice moss. Not only is it super beautiful, but if we leave it alone for enough time, it'll completely grow over the whole tank in a bunch of greenery.
Okay, for the next decoration, you guys might think it's stupid, but I think it's genius. It's this stuff. And if you don't know what this is, it is modeling clay. But trust me, I have a good purpose for it.
Because if you take a look at it, you'll notice how it's super stringy and almost slimy looking when I pull it apart. Almost very similar to how the alien worm slime that they shoot looks like. So I thought it'd be pretty fitting to start just stretching this around parts of the background and other parts of the tank to basically make it look like there was a bunch of old dried up slime that these alien worms had shot around the tank. And of course, right now this stuff is still soft and could be bent in any way, but in a few hours the air will harden it up and make it non-toxic for our worms.
Some people might say this just like made it look uglier, and I would kind of honestly have to agree, but also it just kind of adds character, so I think I'm gonna keep it.
All right, then I just quickly added in some plants because, you know, nature has plants, so I figured this would just help the place look more natural. And finally, I just had one more decoration.
Yes, sir, I got an alien statue to put inside. We'll put that right there.
Yeah, I mean, we literally have one of the most alien creatures that exists on all of Earth, so it only makes sense to have this in here, so I'll always know what's in the tank.
Now, before adding in our alien worms, there's one final thing we got to do. I've got 3 different life forms here of different animals I'm gonna add inside. Let me get them inside.
The first life form I'll be adding is very simple, but very effective. It's springtails. You almost certainly know them if you've seen my channel before, but in fact right here, I bought over 3,000 of these little guys that I'm going to release into the tank. Since we're gonna be keeping it so unbelievably moist, mold might start growing in the tank, but springtails eat mold, so it solves that problem. But I don't only have these boring bluish colored springtails, I also decided to buy a batch of exotic yellow springtails, which costed a lot more, but they looked a bit cooler, so it was definitely worth it in my eyes.
Okay, but this next life form is going to blow your mind. Check out what is inside this box.
Right in here, I've spent over $50 on a couple tiny little isopods. Isopods are a little type of bug that basically just keep your tanks clean, but I didn't buy just any regular old isopod. Say hello to the rubber ducky isopod. Yes, sir, these things cost like 100 times more than a regular one, because if you just look at the front of its body, it literally is yellow and has an orange beak just like a rubber ducky. So yeah, people thought this was cool and decided to just sell them for an absolute insane price. And honestly, I think they're worth it because they're super cute, and the fact that they keep our tank clean, I mean, that's just sick.
Well, hopefully you guys enjoy your time in the tank. And hopefully the alien worms don't decide to eat you guys. That would kind of be sad.
And now for our third and final life form. This one is extremely creepy because you see, recently my friend Flytrap Films uploaded a video about a weird alien mold that he discovered. In this video, he literally showed off how this mold is able to move on its own and literally eat decaying insects. And for some reason, he decided to send his alien mold to me.
And hey, we're keeping alien worms, so I figured we may as well try and keep this weird alien mold stuff too, to see if it interacts with the worms in any weird way.
So I went ahead and opened the package Flytrap Films had sent me, and inside I was kind of confused by what I saw. He had packed a dish full of these tiny pieces of paper with little yellow specks on on them. Now, I'm pretty sure these yellow specks are the slime molds. And because they grow at a rapid pace, it shouldn't be very long until ours come alive.
So I'm pretty sure to make this alien mold come alive, we literally just plop the specks of it on this little dish, just like that. And then we put this oat right on the other side, so they'll have something to eat. All right, let's see if these start moving.
So yeah, I just left my camera recording and it only took about 30 minutes until one decided to wake up. Out of nowhere, this one at the bottom left started to pulsate its yellow body like crazy, and then it slowly started to grow off of the edge of the piece of paper it was on, and it started to walk towards the oat I had put inside. Yup, I have no clue how a literal mold is able to walk, let alone find food sources to swarm and eat, but after the mold got to eat a bit of this oat, it got enough energy to grow upwards towards the middle mold to merge with that and grow even stronger.
Oh my gosh, I just woke up, guys, and look at this alien mold, what it's doing right now. Not only has it moved so much, but it's going to the other alien molds to like eat them. Nah.
The alien slime mold kept merging around with more of the molds and eating more oats. And as I kept watching, unfortunately the dish kept getting all condensated and stuff, and basically blocked my view from getting all the interesting shots. But thankfully, we could still see some of the growth on the sides of the condensation, and you can see how active it was under there.
Oh my gosh, guys, look at this alien mold. It is so crazy how much it is able to just completely devour these oats.
And yeah, considering this thing started as a little tiny piece of mold and eventually got this big, it tells me that if it escapes into this tank, it might grow large enough to cover the entire thing.
So, of course, I'll be going ahead and putting this alien mold in the cave like that, so it can continue growing. And of course, at the end of the video, I'll be seeing if the alien worms interact with it in any sort of weird way.
Anyways, this tank is now completely finished and ready for our alien worms so we can learn all about them.
All right, let's get these alien worms in. Now, if you remember, I was moving them with tweezers earlier, but that was causing them to spit their slime at me, which I don't want them to have to do in defense since it probably stresses them out. So instead, I'm gonna try and gather them up with this spoon so the squeezing doesn't spook them.
So I went ahead and gathered them all up and scooped them all into their brand new enclosure. It's pretty cute watching them all be bunched up into a ball like this together. Apparently, a group of these alien worms is called a cuddle, which I think is pretty fitting. But as you can see, it didn't take very long for a few of them to start venturing off on their own to explore. Out of all the worms I had gotten, most of them were pretty decently sized, like this one. But as you can see, a few of them, like these two, were still super small babies. Which I'm not gonna lie, these guys are super cute, and I wonder which kind of prey they even eat, and if they can shoot slime too.
But yeah, I just think it's kind of stupid how each of these alien worms costed me $150. Even the babies, even though they're so much smaller. But yeah, that's just how rare alien worms are. Please subscribe. It was very expensive.
Anyways, now let's let these creatures hunt 3 different types of food so we can finally study how they use their insane slime to attack prey.
Sorry, crickets. Yeah, you guys are probably about to have a bad time.
So I once again found a decently sized alien worm and put the cricket right up to him. Now at first the worm just didn't really care and was letting the cricket walk all over him, but eventually I placed a cricket directly on the head of the alien worm, and that's when it finally started to show some interest. It all of a sudden raised its slime shooters up and shot a stream of slime onto the cricket, of course trying to stick it to the ground so it wouldn't be able to escape. Now crickets can be extremely fast and agile, so this glue is extremely necessary here so the worm can essentially strap it to the floor. And we can see it worked perfectly because when the cricket tried to start moving, well, it was completely stuck here, and the alien worm started to advance its creepy alien mouth up to the prey and started to consume it. Well, that was until like 2 minutes later when it decided it was bored and ran off into the moss, leaving the cricket stuck behind.
Yo, did the alien worm really just leave the cricket? Wait, nah, he came back, bro. I thought he left. Wait, bro, I gotta get my camera back out. I didn't realize he was gonna come back.
Yeah, apparently the alien worm wasn't done eating, so it came back so it could fill up a bit more. Anyway, since these things apparently love eating crickets, I decided to go around and feed the rest of the alien worms with their own crickets. And yeah, once again, you can just see how they shoot out their alien goo and just absolutely devour the prey from head to toe, sucking all the juices out.
Well, these things are a lot bigger and juicier. They will certainly eat
this. So I went ahead and located one of the larger alien worms and brought out one of the wax worms. You can see how the wax worm is essentially the same size as our alien worm, so I was almost expecting nothing to happen here. That was until this, when the alien worm locked onto the prey and it shot its slimy glue out. Now, it didn't shoot out a crazy amount, but it was enough for it to start moving in and eating the prey. Alien worms are equipped with these crazy mouths that have little razors inside of them, so they can absolutely decimate whatever they need to eat. However, you can see how the waxworm was not cooperating at all and was squirming everywhere, making it impossible to eat. So the alien worm decided to shoot even more slime out, which let it get a way better grip, and yeah, it started to eat. Dang, that is cool.
I swear, this worm is literally a straight up assassin. How is it taking down a worm that's basically the same size of its body?
It's sort of brutal to watch, but it's also insanely interesting because there would be times like this when this yellow liquid would just start to leak out of the wax worm, which the alien worm would just instantly slurp up. You'd probably like to see why I like to call these things alien worms with how weird they are.
Yo, let's go. It was actually sick to watch these guys get eaten. But of course,
while I'm thinking the bigger alien worms certainly aren't gonna go for them, we'll see what the baby alien worms do since they're so much smaller. So I immediately dropped one of the flightless fruit flies right next to one of the smaller baby alien worms. And initially it seemed like the worm was maybe sort of interested in the fly, but it wasn't attacking it or anything. But that was until this. Did you see that? Let's rewind that and play that back in slow-mo, because if you look very closely, the worm actually locked onto the fly and shot its alien slime out. Yep, this string of white stuff is the slime that had actually managed to land on the fly. But yeah, because it's a baby, it barely shot any slime at all. But even though the slime had completely immobilized the fly, making it not be able to escape, for some reason our alien worm did not go up to it at all to eat it. And for the next few hours, each time I tried to get one of these baby alien worms to eat a fly, it straight up just didn't.
Okay, bro, I feel like if they were starving, they would eat these flies. But since these things are literally just so small, I feel like it's not even worth their effort to try and eat them. Oh, guys, we cannot forget about the alien mold that I put in the cave. Check out how much it has grown. It's like taking up the whole dish.
But of course, I wanted to see if the alien worms would interact with this thing in any weird way, so I went ahead and brought some of them over. Now, of course, don't worry. Despite this stuff being literally mold, it's not dangerous in any way to anything that's alive. And apparently, our alien worms knew that, because this one decided it just wanted to start walking all along the side of this alien mold stuff.
Okay, bro, even though this alien mold is completely harmless, I just feel kind of weird about letting this guy crawl on this, but I mean, I guess it's fine. Dang, I wonder what it feels like to walk on that stuff. It's gotta feel weird.
But yeah, nothing monumental happened. It was just kind of cool to see the alien worms be sort of interested in this mold.
30 days ago, I built a functioning beach ecosystem in my room. Throughout the month, these coastal plants and animals have evolved to survive the harsh seaside environment. I even simulated intense natural disasters to see how the animals would react. Despite starting as a lifeless desert, it was able to transform into a thriving, colorful beach. The beach's foundations were now complete, but everything still felt empty and lifeless. It was time to add in our first creature. This may just look like a shell, but in reality it's much more. It's a protective home to keep its inhabitants safe. After surveying the environment for harm, the critter felt safe enough to fully come out and reveal himself. A hermit crab. The crab immediately went up and put his back against the wall in order to spot any potential predators. Despite their name, hermit crabs are actually very social animals. So in order to make the crab more comfortable, I added in a nice friend for him. The second hermit crab was shy at first, but soon enough he came out of his shell too. Everything seemed to be going well, so I decided to leave the ecosystem by itself. One issue that I started to notice was in the moss that was supposed to represent a seaside forest. Over the days, the moss had started to grow at a rapid pace, and the beach was getting overrun. So far, I hadn't introduced many animals to the land portion of the beach, so this was the perfect opportunity. Crickets. These insects will be a good choice, as not only do they love to eat moss, but they also wouldn't interfere with anything in the water. I added in a couple around the mossy area, and they got straight to work eating the excess moss. But one of the crickets had made a mistake. He had wandered onto the sand towards a resting hermit crab. Now, hermit crabs are usually peaceful, but if they feel threatened, they will use their sharp claws. The cricket was walking towards his doom. After a moment, the crab turned around and spotted the cricket. The hermit crab got closer and closer until it eventually gave the cricket a tap. But thankfully, the crab didn't feel threatened enough and decided to just go on with his day. That was a close call. You better get back to eating some moss. And had established their spot on the beach behind the log. But over and under the ocean, there was more life starting to develop. Not only had the plants started to grow, but earlier that day, I had added another form of life. 2 little watchmen goby fish were swimming throughout this part of the ocean that they called their home. But these are not just normal fish, as these gobies have the special ability to scoop up mouthfuls of sand, filter out the food, and then spit the sand back out. This goby here used his ability to dig himself out a little home under a rock. Smart. Not only does this give the fish a tasty meal, but it plays a crucial role in cleaning the sand of our ocean and helping the entire ecosystem become The animals and plants were all fine, but hidden on some of the glass, early signs of algae had started to grow. While it wasn't much, if left unchecked for a while, it could lead to an overall decrease in water quality for the entire ocean. Now, of course, I could just clean it myself, but that's boring. So instead, I have another plan. I went out and bought 5 of these Astrea snails with beautiful looking shells, and I let them loose into the sea one by one. These snails love eating algae, and when left alone, they will simply go around cleaning the entire tank. There is one problem with snails though, and that is they are sort of known for being extremely slow. So to help them clean up any algae that shows up, I'm also gonna add in another creature that eats algae. Introducing marine hermit crabs. Now you may be thinking we already have these on the beach, but the truth is these are actually incredibly different from the hermit crabs we have on the land. For one, they're like 30 times smaller, and 2, these guys need to live underwater and survive off eating algae. While on the other hand, the hermit crabs that live on the land eat moss and these little pellets. The newly added marine hermit crabs will do a great job at fitting between the cracks of rocks and accessing places that the snails might miss. Plus, these crabs are faster than the snails. Okay, maybe they're not even that fast. I wanted to simulate an extreme seaside weather event to see how the animals would react. So, I turned off the lights and started to pour down rain. The hermit crabs were not very happy and immediately had to take cover under the large log. But despite the rain being annoying for the animals, it's actually very important. This is because over time, the salt water gets too salty, and the freshwater rain will even it out to the correct salinity level. And during thunderstorms at beaches, the waves also get bigger. So in order to simulate this, I added in a water pump at the edge of the ocean. The water was now moving fast, and the gobies had to hide under rocks to avoid the current. The hermit crabs in their shells were also getting thrown around a little bit. But thankfully for the snails, they were able to just grab onto a wall and avoid the extreme water conditions. After a little while, I removed the pump, stopped the rain, and turned back on the lights. And it was getting closer to the end of the 30-day simulation. But before the end, I wanted to make sure the entire ecosystem was self-sustainable. So far, we already had many things to do this, such as gobies that clean the sand, hermit crabs and crickets that ate the moss, the snails that ate the algae, and much more. But one important thing we were lacking was a creature that would eat dead organisms and organic waste that would otherwise pollute the water. So in order to solve this, I added in a new creature. Introducing the camel shrimp. This is by far the coolest looking animal I'm adding into the ocean because, I mean, just look at it. The shrimp immediately felt comfortable enough to explore around his new home, and along the way, he encountered one of the hermit crabs. The little crab seemed to be scared at first and hid in his shell, but soon enough, the two creatures seemed to become friends. The shrimp quickly became the king of the ocean. Wherever he walked, the other animals like fish would move out of his way. But soon enough, the shrimp found a nice cozy spot on this rock to take a rest. Day 29 was now here, but our simulation wasn't over yet, as now I was going to add in our final life and finish off our beach ecosystem. To make space for what I was gonna add, I had to remove this bit of seaweed, and in its place, I put a beautiful piece of coral. Okay, it's not very beautiful yet, but in a few days, once it's adjusted to the water, it'll become alive and colorful. Now, coral isn't just a plant or a rock. It's actually home to hundreds of these extremely tiny animals called polyps. Polyps produce a chemical called calcium carbonate, which helps the coral they live on survive. I'll just have to leave this coral here over the next few days until it fully lights up and comes alive. On day 30, every animal, including the hermit crabs, gobies, snails, marine crabs, crickets, shrimp, and plants, were now living in peace with one another in a self-sustainable ecosystem.
Come on, Dad, let's get this in my car. Guys, we just bought this tank from someone who said he didn't want it anymore. And apparently there's a live turtle inside, but I haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah, we gotta get this thing home quickly.
Yeah. Wait. Stop. I think I just saw something in there. Wait, do you see that?
And after taking a closer look, you can see the turtle was right there, chilling under a piece of wood. So we took off the lid to get it out.
Yeah, look, the turtle's in here. Wait, should we take it out until we get home?
Well, we don't have a place to put it. We might as well just keep it in there.
I guess so. I mean, we're not super far from home. He looks all right. Let me just put him back in here. There you go, buddy. I'll just cover you back up.
After we got it home, I searched around for a second until I found the turtle again, which looked like it was still in good health. So I took it out to get a closer look.
What species is this? I don't think I've ever seen this. It has like orange on it. Hold on, I guess let me just put this into my temporary tank. I have an idea of how to figure out what species this is.
So I opened up an AI app on my phone to take a picture of the turtle and ask what species it thought it was. And it came back as a Central American wood turtle, and even gave me some facts about it. But at the very bottom, it said that it had the special ability to stomp on the ground to make worms rise to the surface.
Wait, that is actually so cool. I'm gonna 100% test that later in this video.
And look, I'm gonna put in this big rock background.
You see, the previous owner did give me these for free, saying they would fit perfectly, and he was right, because as you can see, I was able to wrap them around all sides of the enclosure, and they fit perfectly, so I spray foamed them all into place.
And now, continuing with the rock theme, I'm gonna take some of these rocks and lay them down across the entire enclosure, which will basically separate the land and water areas in here.
Since the water is going to be on the side closest to the front, we want to get some spray foam and block up all the little holes and gaps along the rocks. And before it's able to dry, I covered it in some smaller rocks and pebbles to hide the exposed foam.
And since this tank is integrating water with land, the best way to symbolize that is to build a working waterfall, which I think I'm gonna do right here.
Yep, you heard that right. So I started stacking rocks along this corner here because this is going to be the hill where the waterfall will flow from.
Now you might expect to make the waterfall work, it'll be complex, but all you need in reality is this little water pump thing.
Basically, you just put that pump in the back corner and surround the extra space around it with some filter floss, which will make the waterfall also turn into a filter to keep the water clean. Then I lined some tubing from the pump up along the side of the hill, that way it was barely poking out the top of the rocks. Now you see, I actually did try to do a waterfall in a video about a year ago, and let's just say it didn't go so well at first. Hopefully that doesn't happen here.
Well, I really hope I set up the pump in here correctly, so let's fill it up with water so we can test the waterfall.
So I did that, plugged in the pump, and waited for it to start.
Why is nothing happening? It should be going. Is it broken? Well, it just went for a second. Wait, what? Oh, it's going again. Okay. Well, I mean, it's working. It's getting the water from the bottom to the top. So, yeah. It's kind of just splattering water all over me, though. I gotta turn this off.
Thankfully, I was able to change a setting on the pump to make it less extreme, which made it a lot more calm and into a beautiful flowing waterfall. So finally, I glued a little bit of rocks along the top of the pump to hide it and drained out the dirty water.
Well, thankfully, I got the waterfall working. So now it's time to finish up the floor and decorations in here.
First of all, I wanted to fill the land section with these clay leca balls. You see, the two sections are mostly separated by rocks, but just in case a little water leaks through, this leca should absorb it, keeping the land nice and dry. Next, I cut out some window screen matching the exact dimensions of the land, and then put the dirt substrate on top of it.
But this land area is looking pretty boring, so let's get the basics like some small rocks and wood inside. Then let's put in some of this fern moss to add some color. And this is a live moss I've never used before, and apparently when you spray it, it actually just starts growing really fast. So in just a matter of a couple days, the entire enclosure should be taken over by the moss. It should look pretty cool.
And finally, I put a ton of these branches on the wall to fill in the empty spots at the top of the enclosure.
All right, well, the land area is now all complete, and my favorite part is this little area I made under the waterfall. As you can see, it's nice and cozy in there, and the turtles will be able to set up camp in there. And now it's time for the water area, which is a little simpler because we just got to pour in sand, basically.
And after getting a ton of that in, I put some gravel up against the edge of the rock, so it faded that rock texture into the sand texture.
And finally, we can't forget more rock, baby. Yeah, pretty much this entire riverbed is just made up of sand and rocks. Pretty simple.
All right, the base of the tank is now complete, and after filling it with water, it looked even better with, of course, the beautiful waterfall now flowing. I got out all the plants and put some of them along the land section. It was mostly just some small plants to add some greenery, but in the water portion, I put in all the water plants, which definitely brought the whole thing to life a little bit more.
And now the final step to finishing this enclosure is the cleanup crew. And you'll see what I mean by that in a second, but let's go to Petco. We need to get something that's gonna eat up any algae that grows in the water. And in this tank here, you can see there's some aquatic nerite snails. Yeah, those little things there. Let me get them in a bag.
And after getting those snails bagged up, I of course had to buy a couple containers of springtails, which I could put on the land and would eat any mold that grows in that moist dirt in the enclosure.
Oh yes, I'm happy they have these in stock. Let's buy these too.
When I got home, I first let the little springtails loose, and they all scurried around in their own directions and took cover amongst all the dirt and leaves.
But oh, now it's time for the snails. Let's just put these guys in, and there we go.
Now the reason I chose this species of nerite snails is because they can't actually have babies in fresh water. You see, a big problem with most snail species is they'll have like a million babies, which causes the whole tank to get overrun. So thankfully with these guys, that's not gonna happen. To finish off the tank, I put in a water heater, a water oxygenator, and some heat and UV bulbs at the top so the right parameters would all be met.
And of course, the waterfall I built in the back should mostly filter the water, but just in case it gets too dirty, I've also got this tiny little filter.
Well, this place is now 100% complete and definitely is a big improvement from the trash I bought it as. And I'd say the enclosure is ready for the turtle. Let's get it in.
Oh, buddy, I got a big surprise for you. I know I've kept you in this temporary tank for a day, boy, but it was worth it because look at what I just built for you. There you go, boy. Welcome to your new home.
Right away, the turtle climbed up onto the land to take a second to admire his new home. Then he jumped in the water and swam right up to a snail to try and start eating it, which wasn't possible, of course, because of the shell, so he kind of gave up.
Well, dang, clearly this guy's hungry, and I already know he has some crazy hunting tactics for worms. Let's just warm the turtle up to worms by feeding him some of these bloodworms.
Now, you may already know this, but bloodworms come in these little packets and are frozen. But when they're put in water, they start to thaw out and scatter worms all over the place. So I waved them around in front of him like everything else, and immediately he snapped at it and basically ate them whole. Out of everything I had fed him so far, it seemed like he was enjoying this the most. So it was time to upgrade them with some giant nightcrawler worms now. You see, what I did was let a few go down into the dirt on the land area to hide in there. Then I got another worm and waved it around in front of the turtle to convince him to come up to the surface. Once he was there, I waited hoping he would do something, but he kind of just stood there, not stomping on the floor to convince the worms to come up. I even waved a worm in front of his head, and when he didn't show any interest, I put a whole pile of worms in front of him, which he still didn't care about. I guess for some reason he's only hungry in the water, so after he jumped back in, I waved a worm in front of him again, and literally instantly, yeah, he grabbed it and for like 3 minutes battled with it to eat the whole thing up. It was pretty funny to watch, actually. You see, normally these wood turtles are supposed to do this: stomp on the ground, which simulates raindrops, which for some reason causes the worms to surface. And when they do, the turtle gets a nice tasty meal.
But I guess my guy's a little bit lazy and he doesn't want to do that. But that's okay because he's cute. Who's your good boy? Who's your good boy? You don't have to be scared of me.
These are the normal foods you feed your turtle. Nothing crazy, but they provide some alright nutrients. Right away, he picked up the scent and ate one of them. Then he continued to eat a bunch more. In fact, he was loving it so much that I even tried to do some tricks with him by dropping a pellet into his mouth. And yeah, he doesn't really have a good reaction time.
Okay, I've got a little cricket doused in calcium powder, which I'm just gonna go and put on the land. You gonna walk out? There you go.
You see, the calcium powder on this cricket not only makes it stand out more, but it also provides the nutrients to keep the turtle shelled nice and strong. Now, at first, it was just crawling around the land, so I knocked it in the water where the turtle then ate it. I didn't even get to capture the strike on camera since it was so fast, but yeah, you can see he thoroughly enjoyed it and even ate some scraps off the floor.
Okay, this guy likes to get his protein in. I like that. But he also has to get his fruits and veggies, or I guess just veggies. But I'm gonna try and feed him this carrot. Let's see what happens.
So I waved it in front of him for a second until he gave it a bit of interest underwater. He went up to it and bit it a couple times, but each time he bit it, he would just end up letting go. I guess his bite wasn't strong enough to cut off the carrot, so I cut a little piece off myself and put it in front of him. He then bit it, gave it a little taste, and ultimately just spat it back out. He's just like me, leaving his vegetables on the plate as he swam away. Well, anyways, it was fun transforming the enclosure from what it was to this, which I think turned out really good. There is a 1 in 73 million% chance that a snake is born with 2 heads. But by some miracle, some of these snakes are able to survive and are able to learn to live with 2 different minds. Now, normally it would be impossible to get one of these, but I just found this guy who has a pet 2-headed snake.
Hey TerraGreen, I'm Max and this is Mario and Luigi, one of the rarest 2-headed snakes in the world. They're growing a little fast and I need you to build them a new enclosure.
Well, Max, I can definitely do that. So in this video, I'm going to create a dream home paradise and put the 2-headed snake inside. Now, there's not much documented research around 2-headed snakes, so this video will be a first for YouTube, showing off everything about them. Now, because this is for one of the largest 2-headed snakes in the world, I got out a massive enclosure. And to start the build, we need to create the rainforest background. To do this, I covered the whole back glass with some spray foam, which would allow me to stick tons of large pieces of wood to it. You see, I'm trying to make a lush rainforest in here, since that's where the 2-headed snake species lives in the wild. To finish the look, I covered it in dirt and other rainforesty materials.
All right, this actually looks cool how it wraps around the entire enclosure. But anyways, now using moss bricks, I'm going to fill in the floor of this enclosure. But also I'm going to use these slabs of moss and also some wood chip stuff. Yeah.
Now, with this concoction of stuff, I'm gonna add in a big tub of water, which will get entirely absorbed by these bricks. And yeah, you've probably already seen this before, but after mixing it, boom, we now had the whole floor in there completed.
Anyways, this is where it gets fun, because you see 2-headed snakes are so unique. So in this enclosure, I need to make special accommodations to, accommodate how crazy they are. With the first thing being these things.
These are 2 rock water bowls, which I put inside of the enclosure. I just figured that the 2 heads are gonna want their own fresh water bowl, so they don't have to share. So yeah, pretty good. Anyways, I do just have to put some normal decorations around the water bowls to make this place look more like a rainforest. And I thought it'd be cool to spread a bunch of this leaf litter along the floor to make it look like all those leaves fell from the trees above.
Now, using this, I just figured out a new trick to make climbing vines.
You see, first you get a bunch of this rope, not too thick, but also not too thin. Then you load up some silicone into a gun and get to spraying it all over the rope. After spreading it all around, you can add in a bunch of dirt and other vine stuff, and after mixing it, you will get a DIY vine.
And because the silicone on this hardens up a pretty good amount, it's gonna let me bend it around all the branches. That way we can get this hooked up everywhere along the top section.
So that's exactly what I did, putting it around every corner so Mario and Luigi would be able to climb to their heart's content. Now, to finish off the decorations, I put in a snake hide because pretty much every snake species needs that. But because we're of course putting a 2-head snake in here, I used some foam to put a little divider here because I want to see if Mario and Luigi pop out both their heads. That way they can scan for prey separately.
All right, the floor looks all good now, but now I want to scatter some plants up in the tree area to finalize that rainforest look. So you already know, let's go drive to the plant store, baby. Oh my gosh, I just drove to a Home Depot I've never been to before. And look at this. This is the craziest plant section I've ever seen. Okay, I'm gonna pick out some of these colorful ones. Let me get some of these green ones. And oh man, this is just amazing.
So I went around and picked out the coolest ones I could find and then checked them out. When I got home, I of course got them out and scattered them all around the upper and lower parts of the enclosure. And then using my hot glue gun, I attached tons of draping vines and even got out some moss like I do in all my enclosures to glue around everywhere as well.
Okay, this place is super green and luscious now. It looks really good. But to finish it off, we gotta put some technology into this enclosure.
First of all, this thing, which is a rainforest spray system, so we can make this really into a rainforest. It was pretty easy to set up. I just attached the sprayers in the corner and used some glue to cover the water tubing. And now when you go down here and click the button I attached to the side of the enclosure, boom, shakalaka, it's now raining. Pretty cool. Okay, the next technology is just a simple LED light strip, which I attached to the top of the enclosure and plugged in.
It isn't anything too crazy, but I just think the pink at the top contrasts pretty well with all the green around the enclosure. So yeah, I like it. Looks good.
Well, now that I'm done with this rainforest enclosure, I can now be one of the first YouTubers to show off such an insane, never seen before creature. Well, Max lives in another city, so the next day he drove a couple hours to come pick me and the enclosure up so we could of course put the snake inside.
Yo, what's up?
What's up, dude?
Max, the man, the myth, the legend. You are the person that probably owns the top 5 like rarest snakes in the world, right?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, the 2-headed snake. Well, anyways, let's not waste any time. Just check out this enclosure I built for them.
All right, already this exceeds my expectation completely.
Yeah, really? You like it?
Yeah, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah, I tried to make it look like just like a crazy rainforest. You know, all the plants green everywhere.
Oh my god.
All right, but I did forget one thing actually. Right under this towel, come take a look at this.
Okay.
Mario and Luigi little figures.
All right, I like that.
Where should we put them? Just right there?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
You want them together or you want them separate?
I guess the snakes are together,
yeah,
right?
That's true, yeah.
All right.
All right, I can't. This looks so cool. Let's get it back to my place.
Yeah, let's go put those 2-head snakes in.
Yeah, let's put Mario and Luigi in.
So we got the enclosure in his car and drove a few hours back to his house. After bringing it inside, I set up the camera stuff and got the enclosure ready while Max went to pick up Mario and Luigi.
All right, come over here. I want to show you something.
Oh, you want to show me something? Is Mario and Luigi in here?
Yeah, but before I show you them, I want you to realize how rare they are and how special they are, like that they're still alive. All right, yes they are. Right here.
Okay.
So we got the 2-headed snake's current enclosure out, and immediately we opened up the lid to reveal the beauty inside. Mario and Luigi right there in front of my eyes, just chilling around.
This is something that shouldn't exist in this species. 2 heads and 1 body.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy. This thing is like majestical.
If you think that's crazy, wait till we feed them. Watching them eat live is crazy.
And yes, eating with 2 heads means sometimes they will both separately try to eat the same food. And it's one of the most interesting things in all of nature. But as you can see, Max has been keeping them in this enclosure. And while it may look basic, it's actually not bad. 2-head snakes are super delicate creatures, and it's best not to have anything too complex in the place where they sleep. He pulled out the container that actually had the mom that gave birth to the 2-headed snake, and he told me normally for a 2-headed snake to be born, a snake's egg has the chance for twins to be inside, but then there's a super rare chance that there's a birth defect that causes the twins to only partially split, causing it to have 2 different snake heads in one body.
The reason why Mario and Luigi are way crazier is because they're boas and they give live birth.
So that's a boa and that gives live birth?
Yes. Meaning all the stuff that we just explained happens in the mother's stomach.
So yeah, one day this mom just gave birth to a 2-headed snake. And as you can see in these pictures, it's a little disgusting when they're born, a bunch of slime and stuff everywhere. But despite all odds, Mario and Luigi were born that day and were perfectly functioning as a normal snake.
I want to show you how Mario's personality is different.
Yeah.
Just having my finger in front of him.
Oh yeah, Mario's definitely getting a lot more like agitated. The one on the left, Luigi, like he's just chilling.
Mario's smelling my finger and Mario doesn't want to smell. He just means business.
That is crazy. But you're just like fine getting your finger like that. I would not do that. You're just crazy.
Now finally, before feeding them, Max insisted on me holding the 2-headed snake to get that experience.
I mean, I don't really know how to do this though.
Pick them up from their end.
Okay, so we just want to start. Oh, they're kind of getting mad at me. I'm not gonna lie. Ooh. Okay, so we just pick them up and then
Slide your hand underneath.
They're not gonna bite me. Ooh. Okay, so I'm picking up a 2-head snake. How many people can say they've done this, huh?
Not a lot.
Yeah, this is crazy.
As you saw, I was very scared at first, but eventually they really mellowed out and they started to crawl all over me. And yeah, they even did some crazy acrobats. That's pretty impressive, actually. But now it's time for the moment we've all been waiting for, watching the 2 heads eat. So to do that, we got out a tiny little mouse.
All right, it's time to feed it the mouse, and this is just freshly killed, right? This is from your little mouse farm. Okay, let's see what they do. Oh, he just immediately went and grabbed it. This is so cool. So while Luigi's eating, Mario's just sitting there. And do you think Mario, does he usually eat less than Luigi?
Definitely. Mario eats probably once a month, while Luigi eats every week.
So for about 10 minutes, Luigi tried to get a good hold of the mouse and swallow it. But it was so interesting because Mario kept going about his day, just slithering around, while Luigi was still trying to swallow the mouse.
That is so crazy how Mario's just like kind of doing his own thing. Luigi's trying to swallow. Like, why is this happening?
It's 2 snakes in one body, so Mario's trying to move while Luigi's trying to eat.
But eventually, Luigi started to get the hang of it and got the whole thing into his mouth and down his stomach. And if you thought that wasn't cool enough, a couple days later, we got this insane footage of both the snakes eating. First of all, we put some mice in front of both of them, and like always, Luigi grabbed his, but Mario missed. But as Luigi started to swallow, Mario got bored and started to just grab onto the mouse as well. It was crazy watching Mario just latch on while Luigi stuffed it down his mouth. They even started to sort of fight with each other and drag it around the entire enclosure. So to make sure nothing bad happened, we tried to feed Mario again, and thankfully this time he took the little mouse and everything was good. Well,
Okay, so you're just gonna go straight and pick it up. Okay. You're not even scared of getting bit at all?
I mean, it could happen, but once you pick them up, they calm down. They realize that you mean no harm.
Oh, that's cool. Oh man, they're chill. They're just sitting there.
so Max put them in, and apparently Mario and Luigi have never seen an enclosure as natural as this, so right away they got to exploring.
This is so interesting. So do these two heads, do they both control the body?
Yeah, they have to. They kind of struggle.
So which one's on the left? So
That's Luigi.
That's Luigi. So Luigi's trying to go left, and Mario on the right, he's trying to go right. So it's like, they're kind of like stumped.
Now this is actually a pretty common problem for two-headed snakes, but since Mario and Luigi are over a year old, they know how to handle this and continue moving on together. Now Max wanted to prove Mario and Luigi were good at climbing, so he picked them up and put them in the tree area.
But usually, is this boa like species good at climbing?
Yeah, they're pretty arboreal.
Okay.
And immediately Mario and Luigi started to work together to climb around. And Max was right, they were pretty good and got around with no problems whatsoever.
Another interesting thing about Mario and Luigi is they each have their own personality.
Luigi's on the left, so Luigi is what's his personality
He's
like?
definitely more go with the flow, more your typical boa. He's more relaxed.
Okay.
And then Mario over here is a kind of feistier.
I already know Mario and Luigi are going to love this new rainforest. This is a bloodworm, and it is the creepiest, most disgusting creature ever. It even has 4 venomous fangs in each corner of its mouth that you definitely don't want to get bit by. Now, I'm known for keeping the weirdest pets, so of course I found a website that sells them as a live bait for fishing.
Yeah, literally nobody buys these as pets. I think I'm literally gonna be the first person in the world, which means I'm gonna get to show off the crazy unseen abilities of these guys. So hey, let's just check this thing out.
And after a couple of days, a truck dropped off the package at my house so I could finally check them out.
Here we go, bloodworms. Even as an animal expert, I am like pretty spooked about these. But anyways, let's just check them out.
Underneath all the packing material were the bloodworms. So using some tweezers, I carefully removed one to take a closer look. And yep, this is a bloodworm. You can see that they are absolutely disgusting looking, and their mouth is even able to extend out of their body like an alien. But at the end of this part that expands are their venomous fangs, which they use to latch onto stuff like shrimp in the ocean, which I'll be showing off very soon. Now, one thing though, I actually bought 12 of these bloodworms that I'm gonna have to keep all in the same aquarium. So yeah, this is gonna be a nightmare. Now for the build, I'm gonna put in some aqua soil and a dirt mix. Eventually, we're gonna completely fill it with water because that's how bloodworms live in the wild. But for now, I just put a tiny bit of water in to keep the dirt nice and moisty.
But I've already run into the first problem because I don't think I was supposed to add the water straight to the dirt. It kind of made it a weird consistency. And the water is just straight up black.
So yeah, I drained the water, scooped out the dirt, and I washed it off in the sink. Then I put the soil back in, covered it in a thin layer of sand, and added the water back. As you can see now, the water stays fantastically clear. Nice. This mound here in the middle will be where I build all the decorations, and I'll even be putting in some red plants, and then finally filling it all up with water. First of all, let's get some pieces of wood in here. And I thought this design of multiple of these burnt looking ones coming from the middle looked pretty nice. I didn't want them sticking out the top though, so I broke off all those extra pieces and planted them in the sand below to give the whole wood structure a more fuller look. Now it's time for the rocks, and you may think these are just called river rocks, but in fact, that is not true. This one on the left is actually called an elderly boulder, and this one on the right is called a black venom boulder. Now those are some cool names. Just wanted to say thank you to whoever named them.
But the best rock I have is this. It's actually not a rock at all. It's actually wood. Yeah, just like what I already got in there.
Yeah, it's called petrified wood, and basically millions of years ago, it was buried under the earth and turned into a rock over time.
But for this wood rock back here, I've actually got a pretty cool plan. As you can see, I've got a little can of sardines, which you basically just open by pulling the, okay, it just broke off. Okay, attempt 2. Basically, you just open it like this, and inside there's some like dead fish that you eat.
Now with the sardines, I actually went and put one of them under this petrified wood. I'm doing this because I want to test to see if the bloodworms have a smell ability and whether they'll be able to find the sardine under it, dig it out, and eat it. Yeah, that should be pretty fun to watch. Anyways, now I want to get some red aquatic plants in here. So I drove to Petco so I could buy some.
All right, I'm at Petco and I'm hoping they got some red plants in stock today. Oh, bro, there's not a single red plant in stock. I swear they usually got them, but I guess not today, huh?
Instead, I had to drive home and go buy some online. Thankfully, though, there was a ton of websites with some nice reddish plants on them, so I went and added a bunch of them to my cart.
And whew, it's gonna be pretty expensive, but hey, I say it's worth it for these red plants, baby. Check out.
Since I bought the one-day delivery, the next day I got the package with all of the red plants inside, so I took them all out and started to put them around random parts in the sand. Now, a few of the plants they gave me, weren't actually red. They were very green, but it's okay because I was starting to like the look of how it was all coming together. I also ended up getting these red ruby crystals that I scattered along the floor of the enclosure to add a bit more red in here to match that bloodworm color, of course. But as you can probably tell, I've been keeping the two sides of this enclosure completely empty. And that's because I want to build some custom DIY builds on both sides that the 12 bloodworms will be able to interact with. First of all, on the right side, I'm going to make a little cave they can all hide in. Now, in an old video, here is the finished triple-decker cave. Looks good, right? Right?
Let's just get this thing in there just like that. May not be the prettiest decoration in the whole world, but a wise man did once tell me it's not about the looks, it's about the thought that went into it. And yeah, a lot of thought did go into this cave, okay? We can store 3 different worms in there.
All right, now time for the left side's DIY build. Now, of course, I had to start filling it up with water so the bloodworms will be able to swim around in there. But when it got to like 30% full, I kind of realized a big problem.
Oh shoot, bro. I don't know how I didn't think of this, but bloodworms, they live on the beaches of oceans, and the beaches of oceans have salt water. I've been making this a freshwater tank. I've been putting fresh water in it.
But it's okay, because thankfully in the corner of my garage, I just have 2 big cartons of Pacific Ocean water, sourced straight from the ocean. Don't ask why I have this, I just do. Anyways, I drained out a little bit of the fresh water and started to add in the ocean salt water. And by the time it was filled up, the salt level was 0.02, which is perfect for bloodworms.
All right, all the right water parameters have been met in here, so the bloodworms are good to go in. But because I put salt water in here, it does mean the $200 on freshwater plants I spent is gonna go down the drain. Yeah, these are all about to die.
Since they were all gonna die, I wanted to replace the red theme in here, so I got this heatless red lamp. As you can see, it makes the water have this red tint to it, which is cool, because you gotta have the water at least look a little bit like blood when putting bloodworms inside. Now, I also need to get snails inside of here so they can eat any algae that grows.
Now, luckily for me, I actually have this tank just set up with like 30 just snails in here, and they're called nerite snails, and they're able to survive in salt water, so that's why I'm gonna choose these guys.
So I got a few of those and put them inside the bloodworm tank. Once they got used to the water, a few of them came out their shells and started to move about the glass. Now, I think these guys should be safe from bloodworms because of their shells, but I'm not gonna give the 100% guarantee. So sorry guys if you get eaten by the bloodworms. Now for the final touch of this tank. And what I did is I actually went and found this cool picture of a beware of the dog sign, and I went and asked AI to change it to a beware of the worm sign.
Oh my gosh, look at what it generated. That is absolutely perfect. Wait, let me go print this out at the store real quick.
So I printed it, attached it to a piece of cardboard to make it a sign, and there we go, a beware of worm sign. I then even went and spiced up the enclosure a little bit by splattering some red paint along the sides to make it look like blood splatters.
And there we go, 100% complete bloodworm enclosure. And I guess there's only one thing to do. Let's get these bloodworms inside. Now, I'll just be starting with one, and then I'll add all the rest as I test more and more food. But yeah, let's just put this guy inside. Be free, boy.
And the worm kind of just sank down to the bottom and started moving around randomly. And yeah, well, this is kind of all bloodworms do. They just wiggle about, and occasionally they'll burrow under the sand, which is where they spend most of their lives. And as you can see, it didn't take this guy long until he started to do just that. But I guess he got bored of the digging, because eventually he just came out and started to wiggle about again above the sand.
Wait, before this guy tries to burrow under the sand again, let's get to feeding him some food. Now, this stuff is so smelly and so oily, I think he just has to eat it, right?
Now, I actually went and added in 2 more bloodworms to the tank, so there was a higher chance of one of them eating it. Then I did the same thing. I just wiggled the salmon around in front of their mouths until they ate it. But just like the fish pellets, for some reason, these worms were not wanting anything to do with it.
I'm not too sure if they're gonna eat this, but it's worth a shot. Let's put them inside.
But there was a slight problem because, as you can see, the fish food was floating, and I feel like the bloodworm isn't just gonna swim up to it, so instead I picked it up with some tweezers and moved it towards the worm. And as you can see, when I moved it towards him, he actually went and flashed his fangs at me for the first time. I thought this surely meant he was hungry, so I started to wave the food around in front of his mouth a bunch, and yeah, nothing. He didn't eat it.
So hey, fish food, I'm gonna give a 0 out of 10. He didn't even want anything to do with that. But next up, out of all of these,
now I actually think bloodworms need to have their mouth part extended and their fangs showing in order for them to eat food. And right now their mouths are retracted because because I think they're stressed. So what I did was I actually went and put all of the 12 bloodworms in the aquarium and just kind of let them do their thing. My thinking was if I left them alone for a few hours in the tank, they'd start to get used to it and then they would eat. After a while, I went and took one of the bloodworms out and put him on land. I waited a little bit for him to shoot his mouth out, and when he did, I grabbed it with tweezers. Now you can really get a good look at the fangs, and what makes these fangs so cool is they're actually made of copper. Yeah, like the metal you find underground, and they're the only animal in the world with copper teeth. I brought it up to the third food source, which is of course beef, and after kind of like shoving his face in it, he instantly bit down with all 4 of his fangs and started to devour this piece of meat and just suck all the juices out.
Wow, it took a long time for me to get a bloodworm to eat a piece of meat, but dang, that is so cool when they do grab on, because look, I'm shaking it, like literally it doesn't want to come off. It's like, I am eating this, do not take it away.
So I went and removed the food from them, which was pretty hard. I had to like kind of shake them off.
Holy, that was actually kind of cool to watch, and it looks like you can see the little bite mark where the worm was biting, and remember, these guys are venomous, so there's literally venom. Thing with the last food source, which is a shrimp.
And once one of the other worms shot out their mouth, I once again grabbed it, and this time put the shrimp in front of it. He also immediately grabbed onto it, and now these 2 bloodworms were having the time of their lives eating up the food. After like an hour,
Well guys, I brought my mom in. Say hi.
Hi.
All right, come on in. Of course, I gotta show you a new pet. Just take a look. This one's gonna be quick. You can see the pets in there, right?
Oh my gosh.
You know what those are?
Ew. They look like some sort of slug leeches. Look at all the little tentacles.
And yeah, actually, there's some right
Go.
So that purple right there, that's the mouth of the worm. And if you look very, very closely, you see those 4 little fangs on it.
Oh my gosh, that's so this is probably the most disgusting thing yet.
I know, that's what I'm thinking, and yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna throw up.
I just got this in my car, and we gotta take this home to see if the axolotl inside is gonna be able to survive.
and I really hope it's okay, because if it is, I'm gonna completely revamp this home into a dream home paradise so we can give this axolotl his best life. Quickly, I went home and set up a filter in the water so I would be able to see inside. But after letting it run for 30 minutes, the water literally did not clear up at all.
Okay, I have no time to waste, so I'm just gonna try and dig around and scoop it out with this net, even though I can't see anything.
So I started to take each decoration out one by one, and it didn't take long until I saw this little thing at the bottom of the net. I had found the axolotl, and thankfully it was still in good health. So I quickly moved it out into a temporary tank and was super surprised by what I saw.
Guys, this is not a normal axolotl. This is actually a super rare axolotl. It has the golden trait, and it also looks like it's albino and a baby. To put in perspective how rare this is, this whole tank was like $5, as you know. I could probably sell this right now as it is for over $100.
And little did I know, this axolotl was even rarer than I thought. It actually had a special gene that made it be able to glow in the dark and more. Yeah, this video is insane. Anyways,
Pretty much every decoration's a fake plastic one. The substrate is absolutely nasty, and just the whole thing has no structure to it. It's just plain ugly.
so I took out all the trash decorations and threw them in the garbage where they belong. Then I emptied out all the sand, since I'm pretty sure that's what was causing the water to be so brown.
And finally, what the heck is this, bro? Why did the seller's uncle just tape a picture of bamboo on the wall? It doesn't fit, and it doesn't even make sense. Like, axolotls don't live with bamboo. Yeah, that is so dumb. Let's rip this trash off of there.
Anyways, now that we're back to the bare bones of this tank, the first step is to build the lake bed base. To build that, we start by just putting a ton of sand in here and piling it up in a mound in the middle of the tank, because I have a cool idea for this. You see, axolotls live at the bottom of lakes in the wild, so to build that in here, I stuck some wooden branches in the sand and surrounded them in a ton of river rocks. Which, if you're wondering the names of them, this type is called a Tahaiji stone, and this one is called a Seiryu stone. Yeah, I don't know who names these, but I would just call them smooth stone and rough stone. Those are better names. Anyways, while I planted them around, and I made it look absolutely beautiful, I put the taller plants near the back of the mound and the smaller plants up near the front, since it adds some nice depth in here, or something like that. All right, it's starting to look pretty good, but to complete the sides, this is where we're going to put the custom some DIY builds. And you see, in the wild, axolotls like to hide in little rock caves because that's where they feel safe from predators. So I'm gonna build a custom little cave on the right side, and to start that, I found this basket in my house.
Oh, this is gonna work perfectly. Let's just get that out of there.
With this, I started by getting out a heavy-duty saw and cutting a hole in it that would serve as the entrance to the cave, and then I quickly sanded down the rough edges and used my hot glue gun to start gluing these little thin gray rocks all around it to obviously give it that cave look. And after I was done gluing all those on, it actually looked pretty solid. But as you can see, some of the hot glue I used to connect it was still exposed, so I quickly covered that in some pebbles. Once I was done, I put the enclosure in, and it didn't really fit. So I took it out and rearranged some of the rocks and put it back in, and boom, perfect fit.
There we go. I think that cave looks pretty good in the grand scheme of things, and yeah, it is a pretty small entrance to get inside, but obviously the rare axolotl is still a baby, so it should be able to fit in there just fine.
Anyways, I finished it off by putting some plants right out in front and a couple big rocks on top to make it look more cavey. There we go. Everything's starting to come together well, but now it's time to design the left side.
And if you guys remember, that first version of the tank had this big ugly like bamboo wallpaper along the back, but anyways, this did actually get me kind of inspired, and for the left side, I want to make it just like bamboo themed, you know. We got to keep a little bit of the original because I guess it wouldn't really be transforming if we didn't. So let's get that done.
For the first decoration, I of course got out some brown sticks of bamboo, so it'd be bamboo-y, you know. And on each stick of bamboo, I started to drill little holes. You see, axolotls like to have resting spots near the top of their enclosures. That way they can easily swim up and gulp air from the surface. So to build something like that, I got out some string and started to thread all the bamboo together. I kind of felt like a grandma doing this, you know, sewing away with a needle. Yeah, it was pretty fun though. Anyways, I hot glued the ends of the string so they wouldn't move, and boom, check this out. A bamboo hammock that the axolotl can rest on. In order to get it attached to the top of the enclosure, I once again used some hot glue to put on some little suction cups, and in no time it was complete.
All right, there we go. Check the hammock out. I'm sure the axolotl is gonna like to lay on this, and yeah, to complete this left side, we're gonna add a little more bamboo decoration. And so in the sand, I want to put some live actual bamboo. It's curly for some reason, not really know why, but I'm gonna plant this in the sand.
So I put each of the bamboos there under the hammock and covered it in a mound of sand.
But I'm not done yet. I've been saving the coolest addition for last. And this next thing is gonna take this from a normal aquarium to, well, if I'm being honest, it's probably still gonna be kind of normal, but it's gonna be cooler looking.
Now to build this thing, I first got out some giant plastic boards and glued them together to make one giant board. Then I covered it all with some black felt.
Now you're probably wondering why I built this giant black platform, but basically the reason is because I can go and put it right behind the tank just like this. And then now what I'm gonna do is use these things called plant pockets, glue them to the back of that, and basically what this allows me to do is, you know, put plants in them, and we're gonna have some overhanging plants in here.
But first I needed to go get the plants.
Like, dang, that's actually a good deal. It's definitely cheaper than those aquatic plants. We don't talk about those though.
When I got home, I got out the plants and put them all inside their little pockets.
And dang, check this whole thing out. It actually looks all right. Just don't go around and look at the back. Yeah, it's kind of curving, but honestly, it kind of gives a cool effect, and you know, it makes the plant leaves drip over the top.
Anyways, now to complete the build, I just got to do some finishing touches, and what that means is I first filled it up with some cycled water and attached a filter on it.
Okay, I've never used one of these filters before, but apparently it's pretty cool. I just got to go and plug it in down here, and dang, check this out. Look, it's like a waterfall. It makes a bunch of these little water streams. But I guess when I want it to be quiet, I can just go like that, and there we go. Can't really hear it anymore.
Now I saved the best thing for last, this little gift present.
Okay, this is actually cool what's inside. Basically, it's this little glass crystal ball with a hologram of an axolotl inside. There we go. So what you do is you put it on this little platform, and basically it just kind of glows there and changes colors.
Anyways, this is now completely transformed, and it's time to not only add in the golden axolotl to his new home, but show off exactly what axolotls do during their days and show off how it can literally glow in the dark.
So I just want to shine this in here and see if my axolotl actually has that glow in the dark ability. I actually have no idea if this is gonna work. Wait. Oh, okay, wait. I actually did not expect that to work. Oh, look at the axolotl. He's just glowing in the dark. Yeah, I don't really know what I expected, but it's actually pretty cool. So for whatever reason, if I can't find the axolotl, I just turn off the lights, click this button, and boom, you're found, buddy. You're never gonna be able to hide from me ever again. I wanna test just some normal fish food. Yeah, I don't know if he's actually gonna eat it. It's fish food, it's not axolotl food, but let's try it out.
So I dropped them in and let them sit for a little while, but yeah, he didn't really eat them, and he didn't even come out to take a look at them.
In his new enclosure, he's gonna love it.
So I scooped it up out of its temporary enclosure, and bada bing, bada boom, welcome to your new home. Right away, he started to explore around his new tank and eventually made his way into the cave I built for him.
Okay, so the axolotl's in the cave right now, so this is the perfect time to test out some foods.
Bloodworms.
But these are frozen bloodworms, so to make them, not frozen anymore, just kind of plop the packet in a little cup of water like that. And we can go and just take this big chunk and put it in right next to the axolotl.
And it didn't take long until he noticed it and instantly took a snap at it, eating the whole pile up.
And oh my gosh, he just ate that whole thing. Oh, dang.
Night crawlers.
Which are just worms, basically, but they're giant worms compared to those tiny little blood worms. Okay, here we go. We got a nice little tiny piece of worm, and we're just gonna drop it in right next to the axolotl.
And after wiggling it around in front of him, he picked up the scent, and as you can expect, yep, he started going crazy, eating this worm up too.
He's absolutely just devouring this, just shaking it up. He's not letting this thing get away. That's a good axolotl. Oh my gosh, this guy's so cool. We actually got this guy for $5. I can't believe that.
Anyways, ants are known for their insane ability to work together to accomplish impossible tasks. So I was wondering what would happen if I put my 1,000 ant colony up against natural disasters. Would they actually be able to stop and survive them by working together?
Well, that's exactly why I gathered up 1,000 ants. And I have the 5 coolest natural disasters planned. This is probably gonna be the most interesting to watch because I've got 3 different types of insects that, in a way, is going to represent a zombie apocalypse.
Now, our first insect prey is, well, zombie grasshoppers. Yes, these are grasshoppers that Petco sells that are literally like half decomposing and meant for feeding animals. And I'll be bringing them back to life and moving it in front of the ants to see what they do.
And to make the ants swarm this even more, I'm gonna dip some of it in this brown sugar water. And yeah, this is gonna make it super tasty. Without further ado, let's get this in here.
Now, immediately after dipping this in the nest, I started to do a really good, accurate job of moving this around to act like it was alive. And I think the ants were falling for it because you can see they quickly started to climb all over it. And if you also look closely, the ants were actually grabbing onto this thing with their insanely strong mandibles, and they were injecting their venomous stingers into it. Which is kind of unnecessary. This thing is already long gone, but I guess I'm just doing such a good job moving it around that they think it's actually a real zombie grasshopper.
Okay, you guys are doing a good job attacking this. I'm just gonna leave that in there for you while I get this second insect ready.
And yeah, they start to absolutely devour this grasshopper. But anyways, our second insect food is this. They're called wax worms, and they're a staple food for ants because of how squishy they are.
But yeah, they just look so weird. So that's why I'm putting them in the zombie apocalypse section of the video. Let's go ahead and add these guys in.
I decided to put this first wax worm on top of where all the ants were still located around that grasshopper. And well, the ants almost instantly recognized the prey, and amazingly, they knew exactly what to do. And they took this dude straight down into the tunnel system where it wouldn't even stand a chance to fight back.
Oh my gosh, that was like 3 seconds. And now this worm is literally nowhere to be seen. It's probably in the tunnel system. Dang, that's actually kind of impressive, ants.
So I dropped the other 2 wax worms inside, and once again, one of them instantly got pulled down into the tunnel system to get eaten, and this one started to get swarmed. After the ants had a good grasp of it, they literally brought it over to these hills in the back, which eventually the worm was then brought down one of the holes on that hill. It's so cool, because if you guys didn't even realize, the ants have turned these hills at the back into an extra place for more tunnels on the back, and we can literally see the worm down under these tunnels as the ants get their protein from eating it.
Wow, amazing job, ants. But our final zombie apocalypse food is flightless fruit flies. But I'm gonna be dumping so many on the ants, so it's like a proper zombie apocalypse movie with how many zombies there are, even though, yeah, these aren't zombies.
Yeah, these are flightless fruit flies, and if you didn't already know what they are, well, they're flies that can't fly. It's always so funny to me to say this in videos, because seriously, like, how are you a fly that can't fly? Come on, bro.
Okay, anyways, I got about 100 of these flies, as you can see. So let's dump this zombie apocalypse on these ants. Oh yeah.
Now, as you can probably imagine, dumping this much prey on the ants activates their predator instincts a lot. Because instantly, so many of the ants started to become way more frantic. They started to run around like crazy to try and catch these little flies. Now, I mean, it's pretty obvious the ants aren't going to struggle with eating these flies because they're literally so much smaller. And quickly, I started to notice lots of the ants with these little flies in their mandibles. Yeah, I bet these are tasty.
This is gonna be happening in your nest. Be prepared.
Yup, this blizzard will be taking place inside of the ant nest, so we could study how ants handle the cold in the wild.
Now, obviously, I can't just go and dump a ton of snow on them. That would totally just freeze them all. Instead, I've actually got some ice cubes, which I'm gonna go and just plop on this which, as you can see, this makes a nice little makeshift snow that on my laser thermometer is approximately -Celsius degrees.
I started by sprinkling a super tiny amount of this ice on the ant nest to see how they'd initially react, and interestingly, well, not even a single ant cared at all. Yeah, this ice just melted completely into the sand. Since the ants weren't affected by that, I decided to up the amount of ice I put in, which should give us a reaction to how ants handle the cold in the wild. And this time, the ants were actually a bit more interested in the ice, with some of them even crawling on top of them. But the most fascinating thing I had noticed was how much the ants had started to slow down their movement since the start.
Thankfully, all the ants are doing just fine still, but if you look very closely, these ants, for the most part, have slowed down so much. I mean, look at how slowly some of them are moving.
Yup, this is one of ants' special abilities. Because in the winter, when it starts to snow and the temperature drops drastically, the ants are basically biologically built to start moving slower. That way, they can conserve as much energy as possible and go hide deeper underground.
So yeah, in the wild, they would dig even deeper and all the ants would relocate to under the nest. I don't want to put any ants at risk, so I'm going to very carefully take out all the pieces of ice so this place will warm back up to the proper temperature.
I've built another custom tank where the flood is going to be getting simulated. I know there's no water yet, but you'll see how quickly that changes. For now, all you gotta know is if the ants make it all the way to this leaf ball, they'll once again get rewarded with tons more seeds.
These ants have no idea what's about to hit them. Let's connect this tubing so these guys can start walking in.
Quickly, the ants started to make their way in. But before the ants had any time at all to take in their surroundings, I had to activate the flood.
So to make the flood happen, I gotta go down here to this little bucket, plug it in, and then out the end of this tube. Oh yeah, water. Oh shoot, water's coming out. Okay, I just gotta carefully, move that over there. Oh, okay. There we go.
Similar to real life, floods will block off paths for ants while they're trying to travel, so this is exactly what that recreates. And the ants are gonna have to find a way to pass these gaps using the objects I've provided for them. As you can tell, the ants in here immediately were a little confused on what to do. Many were gathering up near the water edge, inspecting what the heck just happened. Some even fell into the water, but don't worry, any ant that falls in, I'll be rescuing and bringing back to the start so no ants get hurt. But also, many of the ants were actually sort of gathering around the objects I had placed in. And as I left my camera recording, I was extremely amazed by what I saw happen. Out of nowhere, this feather started to slightly move, and as I kept watching, it slowly started nudging around more and more. There must have been an ant underneath, and this ant was genuinely moving the feather closer and closer to the water until literally like magic, it was moved almost entirely in, and an ant crawled out right from underneath as soon as that happened. Dang, this guy must have been helping move it.
Yo, these ants are absolutely insane. I don't know what ant just moved this feather into the water, but dang, I mean, let's just see what they do.
It took a couple minutes, but eventually a couple more of the workers started to step onto the feather and started to walk across it to, of course, make it to our second platform. Now, unfortunately, the ants got to do the same exact thing here. Sorry, guys, I know you already did it once, but to my surprise, the ants literally wasted no time to start gathering around these feathers and directly in the area under them. And while it took a couple hours, eventually my camera caught this same exact thing happening. The feather slowly inched towards the water until, well, it had made a bridge across almost.
Let's go, ants. Now, I did help them a little bit by just moving the feather up onto this platform, but for the most part, they actually were moving those.
And yep, it didn't take long till our first worker stepped onto the final platform and climbed up into the leaf dish to claim their seeds.
All right, well done, little ant, and here is your guys' reward. Desert enclosure.
Yes, we need to have a separate tank, so that way I can make this sand blow around like crazy to replicate a real sandstorm.
And along with this blow dryer. I've also got all these fans that clamp to the walls, and I can just set up to constantly blow the ants back.
For the ants to be able to pass this disaster, they're gonna have to do something like grab onto each other's bodies or something to be able to push past this intense wind. And if they can make it to this canyon, climb up it, and make it to the TerraGreen leaf bowl, then they're gonna get a ton of seeds, which is their favorite food.
All right, let me just hook up this tubing like so, and the ants should start coming. Let's go.
Yup, and this tubing is set up so once an ant enters the disaster, they can't get out. That way, we'll progressively get to see more and more teamwork as time goes on. Now, immediately, you could see these first ants just kind of thought this was a normal desert as they were walking through it, but quickly, I brought out my mini sandstorm fan, and I started to blow. Immediately, the ants started to feel the wind pressure pushing them back, and were suddenly not able to walk forward. Some even lost their grip and got pushed back a bit. And as more ants entered the desert, you could tell the sandstorm was keeping them all stuck to the left side of this enclosure.
Yo, this little mini fan is fire for replicating a sandstorm. But no, this is where it gets interesting, because now that they know a sandstorm is brewing, how are they gonna figure out how to get to these seeds? Well, let's see.
While most ants kept trying to just walk forward and getting blown back, interestingly enough, many of the ants were gathering up in this back area here near the sticks. And many of them were actually starting to climb onto the sticks. You see, the fan doesn't really blow ants back if they're walking on sticks, since there's just so much of a better grip on there. But yeah, the second they climb off and stand on the sand again, they'll get blown back, as you can see. But the ants were starting to learn that they needed to stay on the sticks. So many started to gather up and march towards the right side where all the seeds were located. In fact, this ant was making it dangerously close to the seeds using the stick method. And well, he was able to make it to the little rock canyon and almost was there to the seeds.
Oh my gosh, this ant climbing right now is a beast. I am blowing this fan max speed on him, and he is just stuck to this rock.
And as I let my guard down for literally 1 second, this dude made a dash for the seeds, literally running straight towards it, and well, he made it in. And he looked so happy to have gotten those seeds. He was just dancing around in there.
Yo, this ant is crazy. I didn't even have time to blow him back when he got up into this area.
Since the ants passed a disaster, I gathered them all up and put them back into the nest. And I gave them the food prize, which of course they start to take down into the nest.
Earthquake simulating platform that if I go and press this button, whatever on top starts to shake so much, which recreates a real earthquake. Oh, dang.
But what I'll actually be putting on here is this 2D ant nest and filling it up with the 1,000 ants, of course. Basically, these ants will dig out tunnels along the glass like my last ant video, but throughout that process, the earthquake machine will lightly go off to gently collapse the tunnels while the ants are digging. That way, I can show you how ants evolve to survive earthquakes in the wild, and if they pass, they move on to the more and more interesting disasters. Now, as you could probably imagine, the ants wasted no time to get to work. Ants are so tiny, and while a single ant would basically be able to make no progress whatsoever, when you have a 1,000 ants, things are done at an insanely rapid pace as workers started picking up grains of sand along the glass so each tunnel could be formed. It's so cool to see time-lapse footage of these tunnels being made because they literally dug out this entire amount of sand in only like 6 hours.
So I'm wondering what's gonna happen to these tunnels when I turn on this earthquake machine.
Now, I started by turning it on the least powerful setting.
Okay, it's shaking super slowly. Now, it's my goal to make sure not a single ant is harmed in this video. I just want to show you how insanely smart they are and how they will overcome all these disasters in the wild.
But even this very light shaking was definitely felt amongst the colony. The workers along the top area immediately knew something was off and they started frantically running around, as you can see. And when we take a look down under the nest where all the tunnels are, you can see those ants were acting similarly. Ants know during earthquakes, their tunnels have the chance to collapse, so all of them were being extremely careful. Very interestingly enough, in this room here, many of the ants were gathering up on the walls of the room to add an extra layer of support so it wouldn't collapse. But of course, when an earthquake happens in the wild, a part of the nest is bound to collapse, so it wasn't long until this happened. A bit of the sand here started to fall, completely blocking off this tunnel. I immediately turned off the machine to make sure the ants wouldn't be too stressed out while they had to commence a rescue mission. Because as you can see, while most of the ants were able to squeeze out, like this guy here, at least one ant was partially trapped in this collapsed tunnel. But amazingly, it looked as though one of the ants was already picking up some of the sand from the collapsed portion to clear it out. And yeah, literally so quickly, the ants excavated the entire collapsed tunnel, enough to where it was a perfectly functional area to walk through again. And funnily enough, some of the ants even started to walk in and slowly dig out the area where the sand had just collapsed from to make a new tunnel there.
Wow, the ants just completed this natural disaster.
Okay, I just got this in my car and I've got to take this home quickly to make sure the snake inside is healthy. And if it is, I'm going to revamp this trash into a dream home to give the snake inside his best life. I've got no time to waste, let's go. After getting it home, the first step was to, of course, remove the snake from the enclosure.
So I have this tool to grab it. I really hope the snake in there isn't venomous. I have to be super careful.
I obviously didn't want to get my hands anywhere near this enclosure since the snake could be anywhere, so I used the tool to try and take out as many of the objects as I could. And it didn't take long until when I moved this piece of paper towel, I saw a glimpse of the snake under it. Thankfully, after seeing it move, it looked like it was still in good health, so I picked it up to take a closer inspection.
Okay, come on, snake. Let me get you in this temporary tank real quick.
And after comparing the colors and pattern of the snake to a bunch of different species, I think I found out exactly what species it was.
Okay, check this out. This is called a Kenyan sand boa, and this looks exactly like the one I got. Okay, if this is actually a Kenyan sand boa, that means it's not venomous, and I should actually be able to just go and pick it up. Are you gonna bite me?
Now, at first, I was pretty scared to pick it up, but then I realized it was actually super chill and friendly and wouldn't bite me at all.
Oh, look at this. Okay, from what I know, this species is actually a super good pet, so this is gonna be awesome.
But the main reason I was so excited,
I'm at Petco right now, and let me just find the frozen mice section. Okay, here they are, and as you can see, they got all of these just kept in little bags like this small rat. But since my sand boa is kind of small, let's just get some of these super small fuzzy mice, which are like the size of my thumb. Okay, let me get like 3 of these.
When I got home, I let water run over one of the frozen mice to thaw it out, and once it was thawed, I took it out the package to feed to the snake.
All right, well, I've got the mouse here, just grabbing it by the tail with some tweezers, and let's just see if the snakes can go in and eat it.
The snake was somewhere burrowed in the floor, so I just laid the mouse on top and waited about 10 minutes to see if maybe it would pick up the scent or something and eat it. But after 10 minutes, I saw literally nothing.
Okay, well, clearly having the mouse just stay still is not working, so I'm gonna pick it up by the tail again and just kind of start shaking it up and down on top of the dirt, and I'm hoping this is gonna create little vibrations, which will set off the snake's predator instincts, and it'll come pop up, hopefully, sometime around now. Hello?
So I did that for about 5 minutes, and unfortunately not even that worked. But I think I knew why the snake wasn't coming up to eat. So to fix the problem, I drove to Petco again, and this time came home with a way smaller mouse. So I did that same thing with the smaller mouse and wiggled it above right where the snake was, and immediately this happened.
Oh, yo, it just ate it. Okay. I was trying to do that for a while, but look at that. That was so cool. It just popped up out of the dirt, and oh man, imagine being a live mouse and you have to deal with that.
And as you can see, it didn't take long for the snake to start expanding its mouth so it can completely engulf the mouse.
Yo, look at this snake, bro. He is just going crazy. I can't even film this. His body's just wrapped around the mouth. You can even see his mouth. Oh my god, that is so cool to watch.
You see, because this is a boa, they wrap around their prey to constrict it. Even though it is a little disgusting, it's one of the coolest things to watch in all of nature. First, to start this enclosure transformation process, step number 1 is to take out the ugly remaining decorations.
Okay, I have no idea why there's all this random stuff in here like a giant fake plant. This is not at all what sand boas need.
So of course I gathered all of that up and threw it straight into the garbage bin where it belongs.
Then that leaves us with this. This is so bad. There's just paper towels as the floor and a random pile of dirt. Yeah, sand boas need at least a couple inches of substrate for the floor so they can go in it and burrow. So this is definitely not good enough. Yeah, let's get this out of here. And like, why is there just random like red stains on this? Yeah,
after taking the remaining dirt out, I had to finally get out a little razor and scrape off all these little piles of glue and dirt off the wall. I have no idea why they were there, but they're ugly, so they gotta go.
Well, we're back to just the tank now, and this is where things get fun.
You see, the first step to build the snake's dream home is to create the background. And to do that, I used some animal-safe spray foam to cover the entire back of the glass so I could attach rocks and sticks. You see, I want to create a mix of a desert and forest in this enclosure to sort of mimic the snake's natural habitat. And to complete that look, I covered the remaining foam in some sand and other foresty decorations like dirt.
All right, this background's looking pretty nice and foresty, but for step 2 of making this a dream home is to put the floor and decorations in.
But before I can put any dirt in here, I first have to fill it with a bunch of these clay balls and then cover those with some window screen.
Now, if you're a terrarium expert, you already know what I'm doing. Basically, what I've built here will allow water to pass through just like that, but not dirt, essentially creating a drainage layer in here which will stop mold from growing. So yeah, that's pretty good.
Now for the substrate mix that goes on top, we're only going to use a little bit of sand. You see, despite being called a sand boa, it's actually better for the species to have this wood chip stuff called cypress bedding make up most of the floor. But I also mixed in some other brown foresty stuff to make it a little bit softer. Finally, I poured a few inches of that inside and covered it in a thin layer of just dirt to make it less ugly.
Now for the decorations, and as you can see, I got a ton of stuff, but I want to make this interesting to watch, so start this super cool, epic building decorations montage. Let's go. Yeah, that was pretty cool. But now you're probably noticing that the left and right sides of the enclosure are looking pretty barren and empty. Well, that's because step number 3 is to put DIY decorations there.
First up, the left side. Here, I want to build a giant massive tree trunk that looks like it has leaves and stuff coming off of it. And to do that, I went and gathered all the wood I had in my house into a big container so I could easily access it.
This is all just leftover wood from previous videos. Yeah, sometimes I buy a little bit too much, but today it's gonna have a use.
Now, I didn't have much of an idea of how I would do this, but I figured I would just start by using spray foam to connect little pieces of the wood together, and then I continued to stack the wood up to make it look like the trunk of a tree, and then I stuck some branches onto it.
All right, this is a little bit looking like a tree trunk. I still gotta go and cover this exposed spray foam, but for now, check this out. It's just a bunch of carpet moss. I'm basically just gonna attach it to the tree so it looks like there's a bunch of leaves coming off of it. Should look pretty good. Let's do that.
And so using my hot glue gun, that's exactly what I did. After putting the moss all over it, I covered most of the exposed spray foam with some dirt and then glued a couple actual leaves hanging from the tree.
All right, this looks just like a tree, and we're done. Oh. Yeah. Anyways, that means we can move to the right side DIY decoration. And to start that, I've got the base right here.
This is a normal cave decoration that you could buy for snakes to hide in. But I ended up getting out some real rocks and using more spray foam to attach them all around the cave. You know, I didn't want it to just look like a normal boring decoration that I bought. So yeah, this made it look nice and natural.
All right, there we go. A nice little rock cave. And as you can see, it's pretty deep and dark in there. Wait, let me see if I can turn on my flashlight. Oh yeah, I got the light on and look at that. You can just see down in there. It's nice and pretty cozy. How about the snake's gonna like to go and hide in there?
But now for the final step to finishing this foresty dream home is to get some plants.
All right, and as usual, I don't have any plants, so let's go to the plant store. Okay, I'm at the plant store, and as you can see, they got a nice, beautiful selection here, but I actually just need to pick out, like, the smallest ones I could find. Okay, here's the small section. Let me just pick out some of this grass stuff. Oh, I'm gonna get this little one here, and oh man, I was just gonna get 2, but I'm just gonna let myself go crazy. Let's get this one too.
After driving home, I got the plants out and put them around in the enclosure. But after doing that, I still felt like there wasn't enough greenery, so I got some of the carpet moss from earlier and scattered that around too.
All right, and now to finish this off, I just want to put a nice bulb right there, and then put a UVB bulb right next to it, and as you can see, it looks pretty good. Got those going.
As you can see in the basking spot under the heat lamp, it was a nice 90 degrees, and over in the cooler side of the enclosure, it was about 75 degrees, which is perfect for the snake, so it can decide how hot or cold it wants to be. Well, anyways, this enclosure has been completely transformed from that pretty trash home into a chunk of nature that I think the snake is gonna enjoy a lot.
All right, well, I guess let me just take these paper towels out. I've just been keeping the Kenyan sand boa in this temporary enclosure, and oh, look at you. All right, so I'm just gonna go and pick them up just like this, and welcome to your new home, boy. I hope you like it. Oh, and he's just already going straight into the dirt. All right, I guess I'll see you later, man.
Yeah, when I said these guys like to burrow in the floor, I really meant it. I don't know how long it's been since this guy's had the chance to be able to do it, but you can tell he was loving it.
Bro, I don't even know where the snake went. Oh, wait, no, you can see its tail right there, but other than that, it's completely just disappeared.
But if you look closely in this footage, you can see the dirt slightly moving around from where this guy was digging underground. I'm happy I was able to give this guy a new home. It was super fun building it.
Terrariums are an awesome way to bring a chunk of an ecosystem into your room, but they can get extremely expensive. That's why today I'm gonna build the best $10 terrarium and the best $1,000 terrarium to figure out if you actually need to go into debt to create one. And to start off, and oh yeah, these are more in my budget. Okay, this one might work well. 3 sort of new jars. They're apparently in excellent condition, but one has a giant crack in it. I don't know if that's excellent. Yeah, I mean, I could probably make like leaf scott out of this and stuff. I don't know. Let me just go buy it. Okay, so I met up with the guy and gave him the $5 bill, you know. And of course, now I got the jars. Oh, that did not sound good. And because I had multiple jars, I got the idea to build a different biome in each one. Like, what if in this one I built a forest, this one I built a desert, and then in this one I built a lake? I mean, if I built a lake, it'd be more of an aquarium than a terrarium, but whatever. So that's what I planned on doing. And then at the end, I'd be able to compare the $10 biomes with the $1,000 ecosystem to see which was better. Okay, so I'm gonna create this first jar into a forest, and to do that I'm gonna need some basic materials like dirt, wood, rocks, and plants. The problem is though that we only have $5 to turn all of these jars into terrariums, and literally just a bag of dirt is over $10. Ooh, that's not good. But thankfully for me, dirt is actually free if we just, you know, walk outside. Oh yeah, look at this quality dirt right here. Let me just, you know, dig this up. All right, the dirt has been acquired. But before putting it in, I have to make a drainage layer in this jar first because that's just what terrariums need. But thankfully, that can be done easily again by just walking outside and picking up some rocks. All right, I put the rocks in, but now typically you'd use some sort of material like this window screen to separate the drainage layer from the substrate. But of course, window screen is definitely not in our budget, so we're gonna have to think of another alternative. So I did some searching around outside, hoping I could find something. Okay, I guess there's some plastic here. Wait, this could actually work. Has some like Chinese on it. I don't know what this says, but okay, wait, let me see if I can use this. And as the saying goes, one man's trash is another man's terrarium substrate separator. I poked some holes in the plastic to allow water to pass through, and that let me put the dirt on top. And there we go, the base of the forest terrarium is finished. But obviously this is not a forest, it's just dirt. So in order to make it a forest, I needed to add in some decorations, which just meant I had to go outside again and pick up more stuff. Yeah, that's kind of what this entire forest build is. As you can see, we got all sorts of supplies, which is gonna allow me to customize my terrarium to my artistic liking. And wait, look at this plant here. The roots on this one looks like it's growing some sort of vegetable or something. Wait, is this like a radish or a green onion? Wait, does it taste like one? Oh. Oh, it does not taste like one. Anyways, I put the decorations in the build. All right, now time for the grand reveal of this forest. Let's move this down and oh yeah, look at this. Okay, maybe it's not that cool, but at least it looks pretty good for being basically free. Now there's just one more thing to do to finish this little forest, and that's to add some life into it. Now it'd be cool to add like a frog or something in here, but yeah, this is probably not big enough for a frog. So I'm gonna have to settle for something I find outside again. Now to be honest, I'll just settle for like an earthworm or something. Oh wait, I see something right there. Wait, do you see that? Oh. Wait, bro, there's a cricket. Okay, wait, this is even better than a worm. So I picked up the cricket and put him into his new home. All right, and the cricket is in there. Can you see it in there? It's kind of hard to see, but it's right there. Bruh. The forest was now complete, and to finish off the $10 builds, I still needed to make the desert and a lake, which will be a lot more interesting to build, since I won't be able to just find the materials. And as you know, the forest build is already done, so we're moving on to the desert build now. Now for the drainage layer of this, we can do the same thing we did in the forest, and just go get some rocks. But now this is where things get tricky, because I can't really just go outside and get sand, because I basically live in the middle of not a desert. You know, there's trees outside and stuff. So that means the only way I can get some sand is if I buy it. I don't know if there's actually gonna be any sand under $5 that I could buy. Let me just search it up anyways, and oh, that's not good. And wait, $2 for sand. Oh my gosh, it's not even lying, $3 for sand. Okay, that is actually so good. I can actually get some sand now. Well, I guess let me go to Betco. I'll be there soon. Thankfully, it was still in stock when I got there, so I bought that, and then I poured it in the jar. Now, similar to the forest terrarium that we built earlier, we're gonna need plants for this desert one. Now, ideally, we get a nice cactus in this thing. I think that'd look pretty cool. The only problem is, as you know, our budget is lacking a little bit. Okay, well, maybe there's a chance I can buy a cactus for super cheap. Cactus near me. And yeah, $1,000, $200 for a cactus. Wait, there's actually one for $1. Wait, what? Okay, wait, this is actually good. I can buy a cactus for $1. That fits in our budget. It's at this store called Michael's. I've never even heard of that, but $1, I guess I'm going to Michael's. So I went there, and they had some absolutely fantastical cacti to choose from. So I got myself this. This massive cactus was only $1. Dang, I've like literally never heard of Michael's. There was no cars in the parking lot. Guys, you need to go to Michael's. They got some fantastical deals there. All right, let's get this in here. I'm gonna dig out a little hole with my golden spoon. Don't ask why it's golden. And so I added the cactus in, and the desert build was now complete. But to fully finish the terrarium, I once again needed to add life into it. And since I wouldn't be able to buy anything with my 71-cent budget, I got the idea to put a worm in there from outside to act as a sandworm. Because, you know, I didn't really have any other options. All right, let's put the sandworm in his home, and there we go. The desert build is now finished. I hope you enjoy your new life, little boy. Huh? Okay, so I was planning on moving straight to building the lake right after this. But you remember how I got this cactus at Michael's? Or, Michelle? I don't remember what it was called, but you know how I got this cactus? The first two terrariums are done. Now we just gotta focus on this last one, which of course is gonna be the lake. Now, I bet some of you have probably been wondering, how on earth am I gonna turn this into a lake? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. Let me show you how we're gonna do it. We're just gonna take this, we're gonna take it out to my car, buckle it in, and drive. Now, you see, I figured the best way to to make a lake terrarium is to just go to an actual lake and scoop up the sand and water. That way, I wouldn't have to worry about our lack of money.
All right, I've made it. I mean, it's not a lake, it's a river, but no, it's gonna have to do. And this is very embarrassing. I really hope someone doesn't see me trying to pick up this water and put it in my jar. Okay, I have Serrate around me. No one's near me. I have time to get this water, baby. Give me this water.
So I collected all the water I needed and also scooped up some of the dirt so I could bring it home. So I added everything in and the lake ended up looking like this. Yeah, not very appealing. Well, there wasn't much I could do. So anyways, I needed to add life into it. And just recently they had babies. So I'm just gonna yoink this guy and put him into his new home.
Do you even see it in there? It's there, I think. Wait, no, I think it's there. I can't even tell where it is. I think it might be dead.
The $10 builds were all completely finished, but don't leave yet, as now I'm adding the most coolest, epicest for my $1,000 terrarium just arrived. So I'm gonna start building that first.
Okay, this is pretty heavy, but I think I got it. There we go. That is the box, you know? So let me open this up, and I swear, if this thing is not already put together, I'm gonna be very mad, because I do not want to build this from scratch. Oh, no, I don't think this is put together. Yeah, it's definitely not. There's just glass panes here. Okay, there goes 2 hours probably.
2 hours later.
And along with the tank, I also did buy a bunch of supplies, about $395.87 worth of supplies, which are right here. But to start off the build, we basically got to get rid of all of this stuff, so, because the first step for building this terrarium is to put this little water filter chamber thing that I built into it. For this $1,000 build, I'm going all out, and I'm making an entire chunk of the rainforest with a working river running through it. And this will let me filter the water and allow fish to live in there. So to build this thing, I first sprayed the entire back of the glass with some silicone, which will allow me to put tree branches sticking out on it. To keep the wood in place, I used some spray foam to do some more spraying. And finally, I stuck a bunch of dirt all along the back so it looked more natural.
All right, look at this thing. This thing is actually enormous. This is like as tall as me.
And don't worry about this being ugly right now, because later on, I'm gonna add a ton of plants here to make this actually look good. But for now, we're gonna focus on the floor area, because right now, I'm gonna make this into a river. To make it, I first glued in a piece of foam to easily separate the land and water areas. Then I got a ton of rocks and wood to create a natural looking underwater environment, because you know, there's usually rocks and wood underwater.
All right, there we go. That is done now.
So let's finish that underwater area look and add some sand in, because you know, you need sand to make an underwater section. Okay, now that the floor and the water portion's done, let's get to the floor and the land portion. For this, I'm gonna be mostly using these Leica balls.
Honestly, these kind of look like cocoa pebbles, but I think I learned my lesson.
Now, to complete this floor area, I need to put a layer of substrate on top of it. But before doing that, I used this pump to do some plumbing and create a tube that will allow the river to actually have a working water flow. Then finally, I added the dirt on top to finish the floor area. All right, now there's just 2 more things to finish this build. 1 to add water, and 2 to add plants. And thankfully I can do that first one pretty quickly, just like this.
So now I want to test if the water flow actually works to see if we can actually turn this into a river. All right, so let me plug this thing in, and this better work. I spent like the past 2 hours doing this, and oh, okay, so it's working, but the water flow is very extreme. That's kind of messing up the sand. Okay, this is just making the water very dirty right now. Can you stop doing that?
So to fix the issue, I got some tape to try and make the end of the tube more narrow.
Oh, nah. Oh, nope, that is not working. Oh, no. Taping it does not work. Oh my god.
Now in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have been doing that right next to the power strip, but thankfully my house didn't explode. Anyways, eventually I got the water flow working and the $1,000 terrarium was starting to come together pretty nicely.
Pretty much all the plants we're gonna need for this $1,000 build for a pretty good price. It barely even made a dent in our budget. So I'm gonna go and put these in right now, I guess. And oh shoot. Oh, that is not good. While I was putting all that spray foam on the back, I was supposed to also put these little plant pots there, but I forgot, so this is gonna be a lot harder to put the plants in the bin.
But thankfully, I'm a genius, and I used my hot glue gun to glue all the plant pots on the back of the wall. Then I was able to put all the plants in the pots. I even got some aquatic plants to put in the water area to fully round off everything in this $1,000 build. Now, some people may say these very obviously black pots put all around the terrarium is ugly, and well, to those people, I say that you are probably right. This is pretty ugly, but I guess this is the downside of the $1,000 build. It's too complex to make. Well, anyways, to complete this terrarium, I needed to add life into it, which I was gonna do by adding in fish. Super cool life into the $1,000 build. Guppies. Okay, to you, maybe they're not the coolest fish ever, but to me, I mean, they look pretty cool. They got spots and fins and, okay, you know, let's just add them in. So I put some of this API quick start bacteria in, so it would be safe to add the fish whilst the cycling process took place. And immediately, you could tell they absolutely loved their new home. Well, I can't say that they loved it for sure, but I mean, they were swimming around and stuff, so they probably did. I even turned on the river flow to see how they would react. Most of them seemed pretty annoyed, but one of them kept playing around in it and flinging himself around the river. The $1,000 terrarium and $10 terrariums are now all finished. Are the $10 terrariums better, or is the $1,000 terrarium better? And well, the answer is pretty obvious. The $1,000 terrarium is better. But you do gotta remember, this is literally $1,000. Like, literally, you could replace this with a used car, or, okay, maybe not a car, but 2 PS5s, a gaming computer, literally $1,000.